hardcore, nuance football conversation happening here tonight at the Nomad Network on the very first community chatter. We'll talk about that a little more when we get started, but hey, let's get it cracking. Yo, 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 no maniacs, super no maniacs, and all in between. Welcome to the first ever community chatter. And let me explain what I was trying to get at with the labeling of the show. And so oftentimes, we do a bunch of Nomad Live, Nomad at Night, Feed the Bears. Kez has got his channel over there. Trips has got his stuff. A lot of content coming out of these places. And here, I really want to emphasize, what people are talking about. So I really want to really kind of tap into the conversations being had around the fan base and why, and just having a nuanced conversation about it, whether it be an individual football player, what to do at 10, trade up, trade back, the whole thing. It's a lot going on in the fan base, and the fan base's conversation is pretty diverse. But what we want to do here in this conversation is tap into a little bit of everything and get to the bottom line on some stuff and get nuance about telling, having your point of view and you having your point of view and I have mine and all that. That's the idea. And it's a place where everybody can come together, speak your mind about whatever you want to talk about, and it's okay. Well, tonight, before we get into all of that, Swifty's supposed to be here, and I don't know what happened. Maybe he fell asleep or something, or just forgot. I don't know. But hopefully he'll pop in, man, and we'll kick it with him when he gets here, if he gets here. And so before we get to all that, kids, we got to give out some pleasantries before we get going.
Well, we live and direct, and I don't see too many folks out there, man. So let's cut back to the chase, man. Give a little bit of love to the Super Maniacs, Marlon Johnson, the Minister Charles, and Mofugra and the Nanj, and we'll keep it moving.
Yeah, they'll trickle in here, man. I'm starting to see it kind of
and Derek Guy.
There it is. Minister Charles is busted up in here. Derek Guy. Let me holler at you guys right quick. There's Derek Guy. Hold on. Making sure my mouse is working. What up, Derek? We got him and Minister Charles in the chat so far. What up, Minister? All right, so let's just get right on into it, man. First of all, what's been going on, man? What's happening with you? I heard you got the little you ran into the Booger Snot Hotel or something.
Something like that, man. First of all, I went to the casino and lost all kinds of money, and then came back with a cold. So it wasn't bad enough that I lost the money. I had to also, on top of that, catch a little bit of flu-ness. So I'm battling it a little bit, but here I am doing my thing, and I'll keep doing the darn thing all week long, man. But that's the way she goes sometimes. Deontay Robinson, what it do? Smitty Q, what it do?
What up, y'all? Keep on coming up in here, man. Anybody that's watching the show and you want to come in and chat, I'm sure it's going to be plenty of stuff we talk about today that you're going to have an opinion on. Just go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and you're going to get right in the chat. So all you got to do, hit the sub button and come right on in, man. But this is what this show is for everybody who wants to have something to say and haven't had a voice. Get in here, man. Let's get to your comments, man. We could talk about it all. So welcome, everybody. Come on in. Let's get it started, man. So first thing I want to talk about, let me look at my little list here and make sure I'm on point. So Brad Biggs, I'm hearing, is doing going around doing rounds and doing mock drafts. And, people say that he's been very, very accurate with what he predicts the Bears are going to do. I assume he's hearing some stuff inside there. I don't know, but it's apparent, and he is sounds like he's dead set on the Bears are going to take what's his name, Will Campbell, at the 10th spot. I don't think there's no chance in hell he's going to be there, but that's what he's saying.
Well, I'd really like to see a Brad Biggs. I'm on Twitter right now. I'm just gonna type in Brad Biggs mock draft. See what. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'll keep checking out these Brad Biggs mock drafts. I didn't even know something like that existed. I didn't know Biggsy did this. Very cool. Man, I've had problems with all sorts of prospects, and Will Campbell is one of them. Do we need a left tackle? Yeah. I think he would be a great left tackle, except his arms are too short. Like he just doesn't have the measurables for me. So I don't, and that's me sitting over here in Canada. I've seen who Ryan Poles has drafted, and they all are measurables savvy. I'm not sure if they're the greatest left tackles in the world, but most definitely they fit a specific bill. And that bill is not the bill that Will fits, right? So I don't know, man. I'm really now me saying all that, I'm gonna say some other things about Will Campbell. Perhaps he makes up for it in just sheer prowess and athleticism. Because I've seen the kid and he moves laterally very well, right? So maybe he makes up for the shortness of arms and the lack of length. But you know, we're having the same conversation we were basically having a year ago about Peter Skronsky, and we, decidedly did not select Peter Skronsky. So I'd be real surprised if they go down the road with Will Campbell.
Well, first, let me give a shout out to my guy Alan Kennedy, who reached out and gave us very high praise, kids. You should know that. He sent me an email and gave us very high praise. He loves the podcast. He's part of C&G podcast. So if all you guys are looking for new content and want some other podcasts, a lot of stuff out here. My guy Alan Kennedy from C&G podcast is out there. He's in the building, man. Appreciate you, Alan, man. He gave us some very, very kind words. Very encouraging, man. I appreciated that so much.
What it do, Alan? What it do, Flex Diggs? What it do, Dobbsy 34? Good to see you guys coming on in. But yeah, hey, Smitty Q, I agree. I think he's a lot better than Skronsky. But like the way it looks to me, man, is like he'd be like an A1 elite guard. I just don't know about left tackle specifically. It's an interesting question to me, man. And let's just see what Flex is saying here. Flex is saying,
I can't wait to shoot that takedown in just a second, but I'm texting Swifty back. I guess he mistake. He thought it was going to be tomorrow night, but I'm screaming at him right now.
All right. If Will Campbell drops to 10 and we take him, I can't be mad. He can play all down the O-line if we trade up. If we trade up for him, I have a problem. If we trade up for anybody, Flex, I kind of have a problem. Like there's been talk about a Genty trade up or an Abdul Carter trade up. I'm more with the Abdul Carter than I am with the Genty. I have to say that out loud for folks to hear. But I don't want them to trade up in either capacity. I'd much rather see him trade down, really. But real talk, like Will Campbell's he's an interesting look. He would really shore up the guard position, except we just shored it up with 2 Pro Bowlers.
Well, here's my take on it. Now, number one, Will Campbell is legit. Will Campbell is seriously legit. That whole thing about the arms length, I looked at his tape. There's a couple of games that I still need to look at. I'm trying to, because Swifty will be here in just a minute, you guys. He just texted me. I'm trying to save a little bit of that take for him when he gets here. And I don't know what him and Greg have been talking about as far as that go. I'm sure that's been part of their conversation. People asking Greg about, what about the arm length with Will Campbell? And with respect to whoever is scouting and making judgments on him, I don't see the problem whatsoever.
Wow. So it's not just on.
And
you know what I mean? You can't look at it.
And kids, I think Skronsky that's a bad comparison, man. Those two they're in 2 different orbits, man.
I sort of agree with you, but at the same time, I don't. Right? So if we take like just a grander step back and look at left tackles or right tackles over the course of the last 20 odd years, length is of importance. Hey, there's Swifty in the chat. Length is of importance. It's about that simple. And then you look at the guys they're going up against, defensive ends. Length is of importance. You're going length for length against these guys with super long arms. It's not so much that Skronsky is a real good like for like comparison. It's just the arm length. Will Campbell's arm length, like Will Campbell's arm length it leaves a lot to be desired. It's very short. I think he's 32, which might actually be shorter than Skronsky. Like, to put that out there. Then you look at again Braxton Jones, who I think is like 30, 35, and Karan is even longer than that. So I don't see Ryan Poles drafting a guy with even shorter arms than the previous two guys that he has in the position. Just doesn't make much sense to me.
See, sometimes, kids, it is like I'll be upfront and frank with the No Maniacs, Super No Maniacs. I have watched a lot of tape of Will Campbell, yes, but there's a couple of games where I haven't really sunk my teeth into because it's just so much tape to watch with everybody. I watched quite a few games of Will Campbell, but there's two, and they're important games because there's important edge rushers that he's got to deal with. One was with Tennessee, and another one was with South Carolina. He's got Price, what's his name? Pierce from Tennessee. I got to see that matchup and what happens between them. Now I got a little insight on the Kennard matchup, and my boys. I called one of my teammates beforehand. He was like, "Man, I think Will Campbell kind of got a hold of him." So I got to go look at that for myself. But he's telling me that he thought Campbell got a hold of Kyle Kennard, who was another one of the top edge rushers in the draft. And so what I can tell you, kids, for sure, is the only guy that I've seen so far that gave Will Campbell problems because of his size and length, it was Landon Jackson from Arkansas. Other than that, man, this guy, and he handled Landon Jackson quite a bit. But they went back and forth. They gave it to each other. And so I don't see his arm length being an inhibitor whatsoever. I think if you can do it at this level in the SEC consistently, stoning guys, consistently being consistent, there's no reason why it doesn't project to the next level. Short arms and all, man. I think sometimes there's certain guys you just throw traits out of the window. You know, this guy can just damn get it done. I'm telling you, he's good. He's really good.
I'll pop this up from Smitty Q. Campbell was a 4-year starter in the SEC, and people talking about dudes from that conference with less performance, but they have the measurables. Like, I hear you, dog. Like, I don't know what to say here, to be honest with you, because when I watch him play, when I watch him move, he moves with purpose. His lateral agility is very, very high, right? Like, he moves left and right. And my thoughts in respect to that is, if he's being long-armed, he's going to double step and catch up with the long-arm movement, and in either direction. So I'm kind of torn on the Will Campbell thing. I think he's a very high caliber prospect, but I don't know. And there's the scroll saying Brad Biggs is an idiot. No offense, Brad, there's the scrolls are saying it, not me. We're not taking Campbell. This is straight from the mouth of the scrolls. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure if I would be mad if they did. It's just, I kind of have a feeling he's going to wind up being probably one of the better guards in the NFL for years to come.
Hey, No Maniacs, help me out, man. There was a linebacker from a long time ago, like in the old school Redskin days. It's a linebacker. They used to call him Field Mouse. And shout out to my guy Derek Guy, who just came in right off the top, being super duper generous, man. My guy Derek Guy, hey man, you got to stay in contact with me, man. We're gonna get you in the studio. We're gonna work on trying to get you in the show, man. So keep in contact with me, man. I want to move forward with that, man. We're gonna see what we can do there. But shout out to Derek Guy for the $20 super chat. That was very nice of you, bro. Appreciate it. But there was a guy, No Maniacs, help me out. There was a guy, they used to call him Field Mouse. I used to watch this little dude's film with my pops, man. And he was about, man, that guy couldn't have been no bigger than 5'6", 5'7". Probably maybe about 200 pounds. In every sense of measurables and that kind of trait dynamic that plays and permeates around the league about, you need a certain size, certain dimension to do this, do that. Man, that guy I can't remember this guy's name for nothing, but they used to call him Field Mouse. I think he played for the, Sam Mills. I think that's him. Sam Mills. Thank you, sir, Mr. Dodgy 34. That's it.
For ChatGPT.
Sam Mills.
I like how you gave ChatGPT the love for it, though. That's fresh.
Hey, Dodgy, I think he's 5'9", standing on your back. I don't think he was that tall whatsoever.
And he played DE?
He played linebacker, middle linebacker.
Okay.
And so in that spot, you're not supposed to be that small playing on middle linebacker. Everybody's just gonna throw the ball over your head, right? But he was a dog. And so my pops used to tell me all the time. He said, "Man, never let nobody tell you what you can't do." Look at this little dude. Now he was a beast, a real beast, man. I love that guy. Watching him on film. Yep, 5'9", man. Sam Mills. But yeah, again, man, I don't really think. I think in this case, depending on it's going to take the offensive line coach to look at this guy, along with Ben Johnson, along with Ryan Poles, along with Ian Cunningham. And I think they've already decided whether or not they think this guy can play at the next level with the short arms or not. He's going to play on the next level. Is he going to remain at tackle? I think is the biggest question.
That's the question, right? Like he's elite. Don't get me wrong, but his arms aren't. Like it sounds so silly, guys, but just to put it in perspective, all season last season, Austin Booker specifically just tried to master the long arm strike, and it's a serious move as an edge rusher. You just lean your way in and dip, lean your way in and swim. And if your arms can't really contend with the other guy's arms, he's got a major advantage over you. So, with the length coming at that particular position, it worries me a little bit, man. John Randall didn't have the measurements, and he's laughing in the Hall of Fame. There's there's a Bears Jimbo Covert, bro. Jimbo didn't have long arms either.
All you got to do, kids, is really just examine the tape. Look for consistency against the top end talent, the very top in football. He's playing against the top guys in football. Look at him against Georgia. Look at him against Alabama. Look at him against Tennessee. Look at him against the top edge rushers in the country, and tell me what you see. I can't take nothing away from the guy.
I see a dominant left tackle. Like I wish I was lying in saying that. Like I do see that, and like I say, I think he makes up for the lack of arm length with just actual athleticism and lateral movement. But I don't know if like the next thing to be said is I don't know if offensive line coaches are going to live with that and ride with it. Like I don't know.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? It's like and to me, if you're trying to find a reason, I'm not saying you, but I'm talking about some GMs, some coaches or something. If they're looking for a reason to not pick that guy, they can find little things about him, that being one. But you can overthink something just because you want to be extremely critical about something. Now, do I think Will Campbell is I still think they're comparables to Will Campbell as far as competency goes. I think there are other left tackles in this draft that will be just as good or maybe even better than him. Josh Conley being one of them. I think Kelvin Banks is in that conversation too. There's a few other ones. There's quite a few other ones. But if we're talking about what Brad Biggs is saying, he's saying that he feels pretty confident that if the Bears are at 10 and Will Campbell was there, they're going to take him. I just don't think he's going to be there. I don't think there's a chance in hell that guy's coming off the board in the top 5 picks.
Okay, hold on. Oh, I thought I pulled it up. I'm pulling up his 2021 with Trey Lance. Damn it, Brad Biggs, where you at? Is this it?
You looking at Biggs' feet?
I'm trying to. But
I don't know if he's got anything on social media. I know he's been making the rounds doing mock drafts in different places on podcasts. I don't know if he put anything on social media, and I don't know if he did that.
You never know. Most like I'm saying, he's got his 1.0 from. Oh, here we go. Wait a minute now.
You found it.
Wait a minute now. Yeah. Oh, you see this now?
What? I can't see nothing.
I'm just laughing because the Chicago Tribune wants me to pay for this, and there's no way to say that. I'm sorry, Brad. I love you and all that, but I don't love you like that. So so much for Brad Biggs mock draft. I got nothing for you.
Yeah,
I got his 2021 though. If you want to go through it,
man. It's probably whack as hell, ain't it?
Well, no, he got Zach Wilson #1. He's got Mac Jones going to San Francisco. He's got Atlanta picking Trey Lance. This is pretty interesting. Penei Sewell went to Cincinnati Bengals. Miami got Kyle Pitt. That would be interesting. At least maybe you can see the football.
Hey, let me give Chris Foster a little piece of here, because he said, I'm gonna read what he says. He said, "No, man, I get that you like all these small school guys and so-called hidden gems, but comparing some of these guys to top tier guys is really funny." Now, it is on the surface, Chris, until you look at enough film and you look at traits and the measurables, and you know what you're looking at, and you can give a qualified assessment as to what you're looking at. See, what you probably don't know, Chris, is there are quite a few very small school football players, especially offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and things of such, that are in Hall of Fame. And so, during that time when those guys were drafted to the NFL, and, it was probably a Chris Foster around at that time that was probably saying the same thing. Man, that's asinine. How are you going to compare a guy from William and Mary to a guy that just came out of Alabama? Just because if you know what you're looking at, you're qualified to make that assessment. Now, I'm not trying to cut you up, Chris, but sometimes, just sometimes, some of these guys at these smaller schools are as good and sometimes project to be better just because certain traits about them. It's going to be a couple of those guys this year. I'll give you two. Carson Vincent be one. Charles Grant would be another one out of William and Mary. Just saying. Just because they went to a smaller school doesn't lessen the talent. Just saying. Now, you can argue the competition level that they played against. I'll take that on the chin and take it in stride, homeboy. But I'm telling you, some of these guys project very, very well, Chris. So don't poo-poo it until you look at it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it drives me crazy too, Chris, but I'm just saying.
Hey, man, you got to look at everybody, man. I got the awesome job over here at the Nomad Network to do all that, man. And it's fun, man. You get to see, sometimes things that you weren't expecting. You know what I mean? And you get to, if you look at national media, you look at the local source media and the people that do podcasts around the fan base, they all concentrate on a bucket full of players. And if in your mind, if you're looking at that stuff constantly, you think everybody outside of that bucket full of players is trash, just straight up hot dog water. And that's not the case. It's some really talented players all the way through 7, and there'll be some really talented players in the UDFA class that's going to do very well in this league. Truth, and that's the facts about it.
Well, like I said, I'm no expert when it comes down to like to evaluating talent over a 4-year period of time. And I say I'm no expert because I'm not a college football guy.
Real quick, Kaz, I gotta point out Allen Kennedy, Aaron Smith, linebacker from South Carolina State. Exactly. He's one of them. He's one of them ones. But go ahead. I had to point that out. Thank you.
There's exceptions to the rule. You know what I mean? Without question. If you're looking deep enough, you're definitely going to find yourself some talent that is eye-opening and hopefully exhibits all of that in the NFL if given the opportunity. But like I say, I kind of rely on the experts first and their analytics to get an understanding of what I should be looking at, and I take it from there. I'm not getting into the weeds with it. You will, because that's you. You love it. You know what I mean? You love it, and you're going to go that deep. So, again, he's definitely going to find some guys, and you're going to be surprised when they show up and show out. You guys are going to be surprised because that's what he does. We have a little bit more face value with this draft stuff. I'll be frank.
I might just do a whole show in regards to some of these smaller school HBCU. I might just do a show for HBCU talent, just some of the smaller school talent like Grant from William and Mary. Some really, really good small school talent out there, man. I mean, I keep showing those every week, man. It's just guys all over the place, man. You just would be surprised at what you see. So yeah, that's enough of this conversation. Let's moving on a little bit. So until Swifty gets here, we'll carry this conversation. So trading up. Is there any and you this is for you guys in the chat too, Super No Maniacs, all you guys. Is there a reason or a player that the Bears should consider moving up for? If so, who and why?
Whew. If you're giving that to me, you know where I'm at, man. For the most part, I'm trying to not do that. Like, I'm just saying. Here are the buts. If I'm Ben Johnson and I've already fallen in love with the idea of drafting Ashton Jeanty, maybe I jump on a table and I scream and moan about it, and it happens. Because everybody and their mother has the Raiders drafting Jeanty one more time. Like, makes zero sense for the Raiders to draft Jeanty. Made zero sense for the Raiders to draft Brock Bowers last year as well. Just to put things out there, right? Made zero sense. So to expect the Raiders to do something sensible is probably not in any of our. Like, it's probably just not going to happen. They're going to do whatever the Raiders are going to do. So if that's just a wild card situation, maybe he's already in love with the running back and has set the table to get him and is willing to move up and do it. I think it's kind of crazy. I wouldn't do it, but he's been known to do stuff like this. I think the real player that you might want to move up for is Abdul Carter, right? That's the player that you probably, and there he is. Derek guy's already saying it, right? So, Derek guy, there you go. There he goes. Oops. Abdul Carter, that's the only player they should trade up for, in my opinion. I completely agree with that. The facts is he could drop to about 5. And like, that's where you would have to go to get a Jeanty if you wanted to jump up in front of the Raiders anyways, right? If Abdul Carter's available at 5, it's not the craziest trade up. Like, you're probably trading, again, your 10th pick, as well as maybe pick 39 or 41, possibly something later round in next season's draft too. Like, that's about as crazy as it would get. I think they could do that, and I don't think I'd be mad if they did it, because they can still get the left tackle with the next selection. They can still get a running back a little bit further back, and potentially a defensive tackle. It would throw the rest of the draft into turmoil, though. You're not getting a safety or a wide receiver or anything like that. No linebackers coming, unless it's in the 7th round. You know what I mean? But it would have to be for Abdul Carter. That's the only guy that makes any logical sense for them to trade up and go and score. And the potential for him dropping a little bit, it isn't crazy, right? Like, them teams up at the top of this draft, they need a quarterback, all of them. Like, man, New York Giants need a quarterback. The Browns have a quarterback, but he's more interested in getting massages. The Tennessee Titans also have a quarterback, but he needs the Lord to deliver him from pick sixes as well. Right. So I think that's kind of how that shakes out. I would not be surprised if, and I'll say this out loud as well, I will not be surprised if Jackson Dart finds his way up into the top 5 of this draft. I know it's crazy. I don't think anybody really has him mocked like that, but quarterback needy teams are quarterback needy teams, and there's a plethora of them. So
Mr. Charles is in here salty again. He said, I tend to trust people that are getting paid to make these assessments and their judgment. The success rate of players with shorter arms and tackles is less than 25%. Facts. Okay. You believe what you want to believe. I'm just telling you what my assessment is. Compare that to anybody you want to compare it to. I'm still standing on mine. I think he's going to be a standout left tackle. I really do.
Well, I think he's good. Like I'm saying, I think he's going to be an elite caliber lineman. I'm just not sold that it's at the left tackle position. Like that's like as I'm saying that because like I was much more sold on Tevin Jenkins being a left tackle in the NFL. He wasn't. They moved him for some strange. I'm still trying to figure out why he got moved in. Not to mention, he's good at guard. He is super solid. But why did he get moved? He actually has the measurables. Still scratching my head about that one. For a kid who doesn't have the measurables, I can only suspect that they're going to move him to guard. I'll also say that about Jonas Savainea. He's another guy that worries me a little bit with the measurables. Have a feeling, even though both of these guys have that lateral movement and quick step, which is impressive at the left tackle position, they both have short arms, and I have a feeling both of them will wind up playing either left guard or right guard in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I got several guys that we're gonna later on. I got some random guys that I think is gonna be in that conversation with the first couple of picks that we have. I think are in this conversation. I'll pull them up in a little bit, but we'll get to them a little bit later on. But let me show you. I did a thing. Not only do I think there's not a guy on that board that they should trade up for, because I can find comparable talent later on in the draft. I mean, I think, and I do think Abdul Carter has superior edge rushing ability. You can't match that speed. I mean, that speed is something else. You put that in a box all by itself, he's going to be a problem. In short, he's going to be a serious problem. As long as he's healthy, he's going to be a problem. Number one. But do I think they should trade up to do that? I still don't think you have enough assets to do it. That's my problem with it.
There's also that factor, right? That's my real take on the trade up idea. It's kind of crazy in that respect. I'm gonna ask you though, do you think he's more of a 3-4 edge rush than a 4-3?
Definitely.
Yeah. And in that respect, I'm a little bit like I would be surprised with the selection, like with the trade up for Abdul Carter.
See,
I'd be a little bit surprised. Although I know Dennis Allen wants to be a little bit multiple with it. He wants to be a little bit more aggressive with it. It might work, but I'd be surprised.
See, Go Blue is right where my mind is. If you want a guy like that, I think you trade back so you get him. And so that would be Mike Green for Marshall. Same kind of guy, might be more consistently disruptive. More consistently. I mean, just, if they want that kind of, fastball, just a pure pass rusher on third down kind of guy, I don't think you need to move up to get him. I think he's back there and you can find him in Mike Green at Marshall if you want that guy. You can do that. You know what I mean? You don't have to move around and give up assets because you fall in love with a guy. There's comparable talent later on in the draft if you just see it for what it is. Oh, Anthony just asked a question about somebody. Bashard Smith, I think you asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bashard Smith. I'm high on Bashard Smith. Anthony, as a matter of fact, I got a video, a short on the Nomad Network YouTube channel. You can hear me waxing poetic about him. Just got to go through 1,000 shorts to get to it. But yes, there is a short. We did him on one of the very first prospect shows. And I just heard today that he's in the building. He's scheduled to be in the building for a visit.
Ooh, really?
Yes, sir.
Look, he is my secret. He's my secret running back. Like he's the guy that I actually secretly want them to pick if they spend the first 4 picks elsewhere. I want them to sort of wait around and maybe get themselves some Bashard Smith love. He's fantastic, that kid. I think he's special, especially again as a later round running back prospect for the Bears. That's my thoughts there, man. Maybe pick 149 and you trade up a little bit to get him to toss in one of them 7th rounders you have, and you just select Bashard Smith and don't look back. I think he's going to have a fantastic career in the NFL for sure.
Oh, he's going to be. I'm glad. I felt like I was out there on an island when I first started scouting him. I was just like, I wonder if anybody else excited about this kid and what they see on film.
Man, you see, you didn't, you and your anti-combine stuff. The kid crushed the combine
Heard
too.
about it. I just didn't see it.
Yeah, he crushed it up, and that's what put him on my radar, and I had to double back and then check out some of that film. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? I started this. Man, there's so many bloody running backs in this draft class. It's crazy. But I started out with Henderson as my guy. Next thing you know, I watched Genty. I'm like, oh Lord, Genty. Watched Hampton. Who Hampton? Then Judkins. Then Scatterbo. Then Tootin. And I think I scouted Devin Neal last year too, so I know what he's about. I scouted what's his name? There's one more I'm missing that I scouted, man, last year. But as far as this year's concerned, Smith kind of jumped out at me as a later round selection if they don't get a cloudy head with this running back class, and it's hard not to.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to cover us up for a minute. They'll be able to hear you, kids, but I'm about to put a little thing I did before I came on the show earlier today. They said we need to not stop in the trenches, and we need to layer on in the trenches so we got some depth. So I took that to heart when I did this mock draft. Check this out. And this is what I came up with. I traded all the way back to 36. Just to show you, if you go about this the right way, you can thicken up this roster in a big way. I went into the trenches 3 times on the offensive side of the ball. First pick was Landon Jackson, edge from Arkansas. I could not pass away that. He was right there at the tippy top at 36. I had to take him. Next guy down, I was glad that Josh Conerly wasn't that far away from him because he was right there up under him. So it was a good thing I was at 39 to get this guy. Got Josh Conerly, Jonah Savanaia. These two are going to compete for left tackle, and the one that loses is going to kick in the guard, and he's going to swing. And so that's what I think about these 2 picks back to back. Lathan Ransom, safety out of Ohio State. Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami. Savion Williams, game breaker out of TCU. Danny Stutzman at 125, linebacker out of Oklahoma. Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle out of Maryland at 148. Trevor Etienne, that's the Lightning in the Thunder and Lightning combo because we probably won't have Swift more than the next season. So you have to think ahead. So I grabbed him as the Lightning part of the Thunder and Lightning combo. And you could not pass up on a tackle as good as Jalen Travis at 240. That was crazy. The fact that he fell that far down was nuts. What do you think about this draft, kids? I know they can't see you, but you can talk.
I think you got all your favorite guys. I don't know how you did this. I'll say that Trevor Etienne is probably not on your particular favorite list, but everybody else's. Damian Martinez fell to you at 86. Lathan Ransom at 70. Jonah Savaier at 41. Landon Jackson at 36. Josh Conerly as well. The only surprise to me is that you didn't score like a Grant or maybe a Tyleek Williams or something to that effect, some sort of DT with them first 3 picks. But you got your wide receiver, you got Savion Williams, you Jalen Travis further deep in the draft. Man, you got and a couple extras from Jacksonville for next year. I love it. So this is a great draft.
I thought it was, man, and this is probably my favorite one that I've done. I've only done upwards around.
Oh, Rap says you forgot to grab Jalen Conyers.
I know, man. I know, but it was either going to be him or Trevor Etienne. I think at that part. No, he might have been gone before that. I'm not sure. But holy crap, man! I came away from this, and then we still got 2 and a 3 next year. You can't beat this, man. In my opinion. I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate it. Hey, man, I'm gonna probably put this one on social media. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty proud of this one. But
there's some good comments in the chat right now that I kind of have to light up here. So I'm going to start with Minister Charles. And Minister Charles is saying, we're in a position to truly build a complete foundation. You don't trade that away for a few pretty pieces. That's rebuilding the wrong way, no matter what it is. And I had to read that out, Minister Charles. Shout out to you. That is some very good insight. And I for the most part agree with this. And even looking at Nomad's draft, Nomad went in the other direction. He traded back probably 2 times, like just to get to where he's at. But I think that's what you do. You trade back, and why I say you trade back has a lot to do with the fact that that Poles has missed out with a couple of selections, a couple of trades over the course of the last few years. Claypool, Keenan Allen. There's been a couple of trades that have gone just a little bit sideways, right? And he has the potential to scoop up a couple more selections in this draft, trade back, because again, if you can get a couple of more selections within the top 150, like Nomad has here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 selections within the top 150. That's crazy. That's a whole lot of depth right there. You know what I mean? And that's where my headspace is. And hopefully he can do something similar. I want to hit up hold on. I want to hit up Sophisticated Thoughts. You say, Minister J, facts. I think a lot of these players are being hyped up a little too much. If you're not getting a franchise quarterback, then why would you be trading away so many valuable pieces? And I have to agree with Sophisticated Thoughts on that.
Talking about trading up, right? He's talking
about very, very specifically about the trade up as an idea, right? And I feel very similar to both of those comments. You know, if you're really getting a linchpin piece, or at least if that's what the feeling is, and this is why I'm saying, like, maybe Abdul Carter, if he's that linchpin on the left side that's just gonna wreak havoc, and you know he is, all right, okay, do it. But outside of that, in this particular draft, I think you go in the other direction.
Well, I think I was very pleased with myself, and I'm gonna take this down. You know, we put
Dude,
it back.
you did a good job, man. This is like I said, this is a very solid draft. You got the edge, you got the trenches squared away, and you double dipped that running back. Oh, you know what? You did get a DT with Jordan Phillips. So
yes.
like, you know what I mean? You covered all the bases, really.
I emphasize the trenches, man. I wanted to make sure we did a really good job in the offseason and free agency, getting the right pieces that we need to give us that little, little burst, a little advantage that we need, man. We need to get, leveled up. For the most part, we just need to get to square one where we can compete. Now you need to get some guys behind them, some young guys behind them. You got a couple of, you got an older left guard. Jonah Savanae is the reason why. He's the reason. Joe Tooney's the reason why he's on this team right now. I'm looking at him as a guard.
Me too.
So
I just finished saying it. I think that's what he winds up being in the NFL. But I think he can play guard position at an elite level as well. Very similar to Will Campbell, to be honest with you.
And you can't. I don't think I 100% believe that the first couple of picks the Bears make should not be sexy. And what do I mean by sexy? I don't think you really necessarily need to get skilled players early. I think you go right into the trenches, whether it's an edge rusher, tackle, offensive, whatever it is. Just make those first couple of picks in the trenches, and don't stop there. Later on, get another piece. That's why I think this draft, as excited as we are about this draft, I don't think it should be a sexy one. I don't know how No Maniacs feel about it, but I don't think this ought to be a sexy draft because we were so deficient in the trenches. There's going to be a couple of sexy pieces along the way, but you got to get these trenches solidified on both sides of the ball. You got to get depth.
I think an edge rusher is sexy. I don't know about you, man.
It is sexy, dog.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, if that's where they go with the first pick, I think that's what they need to do. Like, I'll be frank with it. But like I said, there's certain things I won't be mad about. Most importantly here, all in all, they just need to get a starting caliber player with that first selection. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
It has to be starting, not. I prefer sexiness. We know about you, Scrolls.
I'm bringing sexy back. I'm bringing sexy back.
We know all about you, Scrolls. Scrolls is all about the sexy, and he's saying it out loud this time. So, like I say, I'm with it. It could get very sexy with the fact that potentially they could go all luxury here with that first pick, but I just think you trade back, man. I think you scoop up capital in that first 150 because there are a couple of very deep positions in this draft. I think they can do very well across the board with all those positions: running back, DT, tackle, and edge rusher. Right? That's just me, man. I think they could do great trading back and dipping into any one of those positions.
Yeah.
Yo, you hear how? Did you hear what?
Let me take this down, bro.
All right.
Get this down. All right.
Did you hear what Xavier Restrepo's 40 time was?
About a 4.6.
Guess again.
What do you do? 4.5, 4.4?
Other direction.
About a 4.8, 4.9?
4.83.
Don't surprise me.
What?
Don't surprise me whatsoever.
Xavier Restrepo.
Yes. I told you that. He was dirt slow. I told you that. But it doesn't matter. That's why I say some of these.
When you say wide receivers dirt slow, to me that means you're 4.65. You mean that's the number I think of when I think wide receiver dirt slow. Not 4.8. That's great. That's slower than most tight ends. That's slower than a few linemen.
But all you got. Look, man.
I'm just saying it was interesting. It was an interesting 4.83. It was an interesting number to come out, and it kind of surprised me. At the end of the day, the kid is smooth. He's got friggin' beautiful hands, route running smoothness, bruh. But wow, like it was just a little bit. It was a little bit.
Yes, that guy. Let me tell you. Here's
what Swifty's saying here. Swifty's correcting me. Hold on.
What do you say?
He tweeted out he hurt his groin before the 40, but said he was consistently running 4.5s all week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that makes more sense to me. 4.8 is a little bit egregious for a wide receiver. He does, and he's 5'9". Like, he's a lighter, smaller, more compact receiver. That slow is very surprising. You know what I mean?
Hey, Swift, my mother just busted up in here. She said, "Where's Swift? I thought Swift was going to be in the show. He's not here. Tell him to hurry up before I hit his ass with my purse." So hurry up, man. Get in here. But listen, man, I'm telling you. So here's the thing about slot receivers. To me, and you guys know Maniacs, you guys let me know what you think. To me, a really good slot receiver is really effective in the 0 to 20, 25-yard radius in a little box. And that's where most slot receivers do most of their damage, in the 0 to 25-yard radius. And so who cares how fast he runs at 40? What about his game speed? And so that's what I would ask you to look for when you see it. When you see him, look at his game speed, and does he get it done?
He does get it done, and that's what I'm saying. Like, he's smooth, his hands are amazing. He doesn't look like a 4.3 guy. I'll put that out there. But I really didn't think that speed might be any level of an issue with Restrepo. But if he hurt himself, that makes perfect sense, man. That makes perfect sense. What are you saying, FLA? What are you saying? What's cracking?
It's like you know what the slot receiver does. The slot receiver is there's not going to be many times they're going to ask him to run a 40-yard dig or anything like that. Just a bang 8. They ain't going to ask him to do that kind of stuff. He's not going to be running big deep post routes and fly routes and stuff like that. No, they know what he is. He's really, really effective from 0 to 25 yards in. It's what he does. And you see it time and time again. And he's one of the higher level functioning slot receivers in this draft. I put him in the top 5 without question. And I think I like a lot of slot receivers, but I think he's that talented. Forget the speed. Forget that. It's just how he makes himself accessible, how tough he is. And he's just a playmaker, man. He's just a flat-out playmaker.
He is all of those things, which again is why it surprised me that he clocked at that slow a speed. Because I've watched his tape, He's smooth. He gets open. He gets separation, and his hands are impeccable. So, you're right. He's not going to be running them deep routes very, very frequently. Makes a lot of sense to me, but if he was hurt, then I think things make a little bit more sense.
Hey, Scrolls, I got one for you. Let me tell you one of the more effective slot receivers I've ever seen play. And he was effective for a lot of different reasons. I'll just say, and I'll let the chat do the rest of it. His number is number 86. And he played for the yellow and gold in Pittsburgh. Just saying. And that dude's slow as dog shit.
What are you talking about? Mighty Mouse? Hines Ward?
Hines Ward. That dude, listen. If a sloth was chasing his ass, he's dead. Because the sloth's going to catch him.
Cold-blooded. Yeah, he was probably a 4.7 guy, but man, he was powerful, had them hands, and he ran them routes smooth as all get out. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I got you. I got you there, man.
That just goes to show you don't have to be this speedy. I think somebody might have mentioned it earlier. With him, I think I pay more attention to his shuttle and his I forgot they call it some kind of cone. It's a kind of cone drill.
Three cone drill.
Yeah. I pay more attention to that kind of stuff when it comes to a guy like him.
It's for the slot, yeah.
Yeah, his burst and how he can stop on a dime and that kind of thing is more important than running a 40. I mean, it's not like running a 40 isn't important, but there's been guys like Hines Ward that have come along and they can utilize that toughness that he's got. And it's just, he's just gonna be a handy guy for whoever drafts him.
Paul Rodriguez. Tom Waddle thought Hines Ward was Xavier Worthy. That's hilarious. Yo, shout out to Tommy Waddle, man. He's one, honest to God. I hated him. I hated watching him.
I be hearing people talk about it. I ain't never watched Tom Waddle.
What? Oh, man. I hated watching Tom Waddle back in the day. And then at some point, I was like, this man is the most surefire human being ever. You know what I mean? Just surefire, sure-handed. Wasn't the greatest at any particular thing, but heart and hands. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Tom Waddle, man. After a while, he just grew on me and became one of my favorite wide receivers of all time. Like I have to say it. And he has a good sense of humor. He cuts himself down all the time. Shout out to you, man. Big ups to you because you were a special class of wide receiver back in the day, man. Tom Waddle, straight up, super funny.
I got to ask you this question again because there's probably several people in the chat that didn't hear it when I said it Sunday. So I'm going to ask it again because we had a couple of days to think about it. Do you think in this draft, Dennis Allen gets his linebacker?
The answer that I'm going to give you is he might, but it'll probably be in the 7th or 6th round. We don't have a 6th rounder. Maybe we trade up to get a linebacker, package both of those 7th round picks. I don't know. Maybe later in the draft. I don't really see them selecting a linebacker in the top 150.
No, yeah. What did I get Stutzman on that list? About what was it? About 140? Let me look at that again. I thought I got him somewhere around 148, 150 or something. Let me look. Where'd you go?
You might have got him at 148.
At 125.
125. All right.
It's because of the caliber of linebacker, I think, more than anything.
So you got him at 125. The fact is you also had 8 picks in the top 150. If they're able to trade back and secure that much capital in that sweet spot of this draft, by all means, he'll get his linebacker early and he'll be a little bit more skilled. But I'm not so sure the trade back case scenario is going to look anything like this for the Bears in reality. I
think, be honest with you, kids, I think somewhere in those, somebody's going to try to get that one of those back-to-back picks the Bears got, where they got the close ones. What do they got? A 31 and a, what is it?
39 and 41.
39. Somebody's going to try to get one, and then this is when they could get some of this shit going on.
That's why I do expect them to pick at 10. I'm just going to say that the way that I'm speculating here, I think they are going to pick at 10 and trade back with one of the 39 or 41 to get 2 more picks in the second and third, or maybe second and fourth, something like that. 2 more in the top 150. That's my guess. End of the day, I won't be mad if they trade back from 10, because I think that's where they're going to get the most capital from.
Yeah,
A linebacker, I just don't see it early in this draft. Just don't make any sense.
It's some. I wouldn't be surprised, because they did also Nick Martin, another guy we profiled over here. I think I mentioned that Sunday. He's scheduled to come in here. He's about 6'1", probably about 220, and typically probably wouldn't. If you look at traits, he wouldn't fit what Dennis Allen's mold is. But sometimes guys are that good that you throw all that shit out the window. He's just one of those cases, in my opinion, man. Just it's gonna be interesting to see what we do. I'm looking down the list of stuff we could talk about. Have you been looking at anybody lately? Anybody sticking out to you?
Nobody's special outside of the guys that that we've already really talked about. It's like what I'm now starting to consider is where, what do these other teams do in this draft, and I'm also considering what some of these other folks who are doing drafts out there are suggesting, and I'm not sure if I'm with most of the suggestions. Like I don't know. Like I don't see the Raiders drafting Genty. I do see somebody in that top 10 taking I'll back it up. I'll say top 15 taking a shot on Jackson Dart. And why I say that is I think maybe somebody from a little further behind us is going to attempt to trade up to make that selection. I'm speculating maybe even the Steelers. Right? It kind of makes sense if they jump up and they find themselves a quarterback of tomorrow, even if they're going with Aaron Rodgers. Somebody's going to take a shot at a quarterback.
Yeah. Now I'm glad you mentioned that. I basically hand fed you on this one.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the most shocking pick that they can make in this draft?
The Bears?
Yeah. I'm talking not an individual player in position.
Position? Yeah. Cornerback.
I think it would be quarterback. If they drafted another quarterback. I believe there'll be a UDFA quarterback, but if they drafted one, I'd be like, holy shit.
Thank you. I don't think they would draft one. I think I think they should grab one in UDFA. Personally, I would be very happy. I would be very happy if they grabbed a vet, but all of the vets that I would be interested in, A, cost too much money, B, are pretty much already selected. I think Caleb could do with some mentorship in that position. But Jameis Winston is gone. So there's that.
Let me pull up a couple of questions. I got some starred comments and they're starting up.
No, we don't need one. We don't need one FLA Bear. We don't need a QB.
So Howie R. Bear says, I heard Todd McShay now has Miami tight end over LSU tight end. Do you agree? Is it close? I'll let you know those two guys. Mason, what's his last name? Mason something.
Peanut butter skin.
Yeah. I forget
Peanut butter skin versus who? Who's the other one? I'll figure it out in a second. There's our guy.
There's Swift.
You
in the game, player. You in the game.
What's good?
What's going on, man?
Man.
You came right in time, man. You came right in time because we was about to. Because I got a bucket full of guys that are gonna be right there.
I wasn't trying to get beat with a purse, bro.
Man, hey, she was serious about it. She put all kind of D batteries in that motherfucker and everything.
So who's he asking about? He's asking about Miami versus
So Mason Taylor and
Mason Taylor.
What's Elijah Arroyo? They're different. They're different style of tight ends. So Arroyo's a receiving tight end. He's a guy who you put him in the slot and he's like a big slot receiver. That's what Elijah Arroyo is. But Mason Taylor's like, he's probably like the kind of a Sam Laporta type, a guy who can block and catch, maybe a mini version of Tyler Warren, but he's more in the Tyler Warren vein.
Okay.
They're different styles. I think Mason Taylor would fit us better. I think we're looking for a blocking tight end.
I like both of them, but I do looking at the style of offense and looking at the prototype that you have to look at. I would say, I would say Mason Graham myself.
So, if they draft Mason Taylor, you think his auntie will come to some games?
Who's his auntie?
What? You don't know who his auntie is?
Oh, Jason. So who's Jason Taylor's wife? I got to think. Not off the top of my head. I know the players. I don't know I'm not one of the people who know the players' wives. Like that's not my thing, bro.
No, not his mom's. His auntie.
Oh, here we go.
I got you though.
Kid's about to get started.
Hold on now.
He said, hold on now.
Hold on.
I will say one thing to Ked's point right before I joined. He was talking about linebacker. Oh, Joy Taylor.
Oh, Joy. Got that's his damn sister, man.
That's his auntie, man.
I didn't even know that. Maybe that's how she got her start in sports. See?
Of course, that's how she got it.
I'm just saying.
That's what you're talking about with peanut
put that out there.
I thought you were talking about a goddamn guy, man. Talking about peanut butter skin and shit.
Hey, what?
I was like, what the fuck is he keep talking? I didn't know who you was talking about. I just played it off.
The Scrolls knew who I was talking about the whole time. Like the Scrolls definitely knew what I was talking about this whole time. But yeah, maybe Auntie will show up. If she does, I'm with the pick.
Man, so, hey, Swift, when you was on the sideline, do you hear anything that we was talking about that piqued your interest?
Yeah, so Keds mentioned he didn't think we were going to take a linebacker in the top 150. I think one of my biggest points of this whole draft right now is I think we're open to do anything, man, and
we're free
unexpected. Like we could take a linebacker at pick 10 if Dennis Allen is in Ryan Pohl's ear right now saying Jahad Campbell is the guy. We can go ahead and cut Tremaine Edmonds next season. This is the guy I want to be the linebacker of this defense. Or the sleeper, man, Jalen Walker, man. Nobody's talking about him, but I keep watching more tape, and he's just always around the ball. Like, he's a guy, he reminds me so much of Micah Parsons. His best trait is, like, spying the quarterback. Like, if he's the linebacker, he could be playing linebacker, but he's also spying the quarterback when he's in coverage. So if that quarterback goes to take off running, he's so quick, just boom, he's right there. Whether he's just scrambling around the pocket or going to run, I think it fits today's defenses and as a chess piece really well. I just don't know how Dennis Allen views him. That's the one question. It's like, but other than that, it's like we could, if round 3, if one of those linebackers are there, say that Schweichender or whatever his name is from UCLA falls, or Danny Stutzman, I think linebacker is a position we could address that people are sleeping on.
Real quick, I got a couple of questions I got to get to. Howie R. Bears with another one. He says, is there a linebacker in free agency right now? I didn't really look too hard at the linebacker class. That's a good question. I will take a look at it, Howie. I didn't, there was always a chance that we could get one with a new defensive coordinator in here. Maybe I should take a look at him. That could be another domino that falls before the draft. It could be, for sure. Let me get to another question. Flex Diggs wants to know, he says, Nomad, do you see Edmonds having a better year under Dennis Allen? I can see him being a Pro Bowler if everything breaks right for him. This is what I think is going to happen, Flex. As opposed to being in coverage all the time in a cover 2-based scheme, cover 3-based scheme, he's going to be in a lot of cover 1, a lot of cover 0. So he's going to be doing a lot of running and tackling as opposed to being in space and covering. That's always going to bode much better for a linebacker, especially a speedy linebacker. And so, you're talking about the difference in schemes and what he might be under Dennis Allen. It's going to be a totally different player. Of course, he's going to play some cloud coverage and some zone coverages. Every defense has those in the book. But he's definitely going to be man-to-man more times than not and playing more downhill than he ever was under Eberflus. They played a whole lot of cloud coverage. And so you're going to see a different side of Tremaine Edmonds. And so I think this defense does bode well for him, man. I look forward to him doing well under Dennis Allen. I really do. Not because I like him. I just think the difference in scheme and schematics could really help a real speedy linebacker because he's going to be blitzing them a whole lot. Let me see. Scroll says, what player has the biggest immediate impact on wins and losses if they hit the ground running? I'm glad you mentioned that because I got this bucket. I'm glad you in here, Swift, because I pulled up a bunch of guys that we had already covered over here, and I put them in here.
Uh-oh.
And just give me your takes. This is who I think are more than likely going to be the picks in those first couple of picks. And we'll start with one. I'm sure you got some thoughts on him.
I probably got thoughts on all of them.
I'm sure you do.
This is one of the hardest players in the draft to evaluate for me. Like going into the year when I had my tackle rankings, he was my number one tackle. Now, most scouting reports I read said he's a guy who projects to guard in the NFL because they questioned his height. He was only listed as 6'3" at Texas, and they questioned his arm length. But then he showed up at the combine and measured in at 6'4", and his arms were 33 inches. They're long enough. They're not long, but they're long enough that he meets the minimums. He still kind of looks like a guard when you look at his frame and like just how he plays. And then the other thing that's the biggest question is his tape this year. It was so up and down. He just didn't live up to the performance, which is why Will Campbell passed him. He wasn't the dominant tackle that he looked like in 2023. They played Georgia twice, and he got his ass whooped both times by Michael Williams and Jalen Walker. They both took him to the whooping shed. So it's like, and one of them was SEC championship game. That's a big stage where you don't want to get exposed like that. And then he didn't really look that great in the playoffs either. So I have questions with him. I don't think he's a top 15 player to me.
Okay. Kids, what about you? They heard my takes on him.
I like Banks, but everything Swifty said kind of just changed my thoughts on Banks, right? I didn't realize he was only 33 by way of length. The height is a little bit of an issue. I'm looking at true left tackles, though he is that, right? But
I do like him. Yeah. I mean, he's a guy I liked. I was really rooting for him going into the year. I don't know. I have such a hard time placing him. To me, when I watch his tape, something's missing. Like it wasn't what I expected him to be dominant, and it wasn't. And it's like, I just still have questions. So he's a guy who I could still see him going high. Like as far as like 10th is probably the highest he's going to go. I don't see anyone. I've seen mocks having him go as high as 4 to the Patriots, and I'm like, no way, just no way.
Over Mendu and Campbell?
Yeah, no way. I just saw one today. I think it was I don't remember whose mock it was, but I saw it and I was like, no chance. But like maybe the 49ers would take him at 11 if they're like, oh, he's a guy we could see if he could groom behind Trent Williams, but if not, we can plug him in right here at left guard. But to me, I don't know. I really like the player and I want to root for him. But I just have questions, and I think he's a guy who could slide when we get to the draft.
One thing before I move on to the next guy, one thing I will add to it is I do love his. I start thinking about the Detroit offensive line and how in attack mode they were. There's times when I see him on film get very, very aggressive in the run game, and he moves so well. And I think that's going to definitely stand out when Dennis Allen, not Dennis Allen, but when Ben Johnson is looking at that film, Dan Rochar's looking at that film.
Well, Braxton does that in the run game too, though.
Yes, he does. But this guy's got something else that Braxton doesn't, and that's an ass.
See, people say that, but then you watch Jalen Walker, who's 6'1", 240, push him back, and you go, okay, if he gets pushed back by Jalen Walker, what's going to happen to him when he runs into Nick Bosa in the NFL? So I don't know. Like that's something that is his anchor better than Braxton Jones's is right now? 3 years of NFL strength and training. He is coming back off an ankle injury, but that's I've heard people on Twitter say it. They're like, oh, his anchor is way better than Braxton's. And I'm like, I don't know that for sure. I don't know.
So when you saw Jalen Walker get on him, sometimes is he coming off that wide 9 stance and just getting that running start at him, or you seen him come right off the ball and getting on him?
I saw Michael Williams do it to him multiple times right on him. I'm not off the top of my head remembering every snap he had against Jalen Walker, but I'm pretty sure I saw him at least pushing him back. And it's something I didn't. When you see something like that, just straight pushing him, the guy is 240 pounds and 6'1". It's like, okay, I mean, he has an anchor, but I still question once we get to the NFL, it's different. Like NFL, all of these guys are studs. Even in the SEC, you're not seeing all studs every week. It's just not the same.
I feel you. All right, we're gonna keep it meandering. And I got a guy who don't get pushed back at all. That's this guy right here. In the first, who knows, in the first couple, 2 or 3 picks, this guy can come off the board. He just came off of my mock draft. But what say you about Jonah, Swift, kids?
I'll get to. I just wanted to quickly address Sophisticated. He said, Swift, just admit you don't like him. I actually like Banks. He was a guy I rooted for. I'm a fan. I mean, I'm not a Texas fan, but I root for the Longhorns sometime. I watched them a lot this year. They have Arch Manning. I mean, I like Banks. There's something is not there. And it's when you like a player, what you don't, and that's the thing. The reason is I like him, so I don't want to put him up just because I like him. When I put his tape on, something's missing. And that's why it's hard for me. So that's what I was trying to explain. It's hard to, when you like a player like that, but you put on his tape and you just don't see it, it's like, man, how do I? But his 2023 tape was better. It's kind of the same with Michael Williams because he's another guy who was way better in 2023. So you're like, what are you getting? But Banks wasn't battling an injury, so he doesn't have an excuse. He just got beat. So it's tough.
You know, a guy that was really good, and I was watching all last year and was hoping he came out in the draft, but I don't know. Sometimes it's some of the stuff that we don't know. Then you see like the stark difference between a year and the next year. Like I was looking at Antoine Powell Ryland, a edge rusher out of Virginia Tech. He was the best in the country by far. He did last year what Mike Green's doing this year. And so had he came out, but for whatever reason, I don't know, it could have been injury. I don't know what it was, but he didn't put up the kind of, the production that he did last year. And sometimes it's some stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but, it's worth talking about for sure. But that guy right there, I was surprised. I still think he's one of the top pure pass rushers in the country. But, he had that Mike Green season last year. Let's pull up the next guy. We were about to get on to this guy, man. What do you think about this guy?
You guys go ahead. I'll be right back.
I think he's a guard for sure in the NFL. He just doesn't have the athleticism or the foot speed, I think, to stay at tackle. But he's a guy who's a mauler, man. His Senior Bowl, he did struggle a little bit because they played him at guard, and he didn't transition perfectly. I think on some teams he could stay at tackle. If there was a team that wanted to run like a power offense and keep him a right tackle, I could see it. But for the Bears, I think his fit would purely be at guard. He'd be a guy you'd bring inside, have him learn right guard and left guard, and back up both Tooney and Jonah Jackson, or maybe even just have him at right guard. But I like his tape. He just right now the question is, where does he go? Probably somewhere in between our second round and our third round pick. Would you want to take him with that pick in round 2?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I've been watching him for 2 years as well. And I kept, I'm looking at his build just like you, and you naturally, probably just like me, I said, all right, he's got guard traits. Look at him. He just looks like a guard, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He just does. But then when you look at him at tackle, I'm looking at his film. This is what I'm saying to myself, Swift. I'm saying to myself, prove to me you're not a tackle. Prove to me you're not a tackle. And I'll be like, damn it, every time. He just doesn't do it.
Oh, I mean, this speed rush, he struggled a bit with speed rushers.
I ain't see it, man. You might have to point out a game to me because that dude's got some nimble ass feet. I mean, some nimble feet for a giant like that. That dude, and I seen him. They throw him over to the other side playing left too. And
Yep. And he only allowed 4 sacks in his whole career. So I mean,
man, dude, this guy, he's just one of my guys, man. He's just one of my guys in this draft, and I do believe this. I believe he's going to go higher than people think. I don't know where people are projecting him. It's probably different from place to place, person to person. But I think if he comes out of the first round, if it's not early second round, I'd be surprised. I would just say that.
yeah, I could see that. I think he's an early second round pick for sure.
I do have a thing for Samoan guys. You ain't lying, man.
They're beasts, man.
Lying. They just built, like, I got a couple of teammates, man. Those dudes just big boned, just naturally made for contact, man, and they absorb it well. It's like, I'm telling you, there's nothing like these cats, man. There's nothing like them, and they're warriors too. They're fucking warriors.
82-inch wingspan. Ooh, yeah. Give it to me.
Man, this guy's a prototypical whatever you want him to be. If you want him to be a tackle, let him play tackle. But if this, I think personally, and I don't want to put a ceiling on him, it's not my place to do it, but I do think he is probably better suited to get on top of people and just really attack and put his hands on people at guard. I really do. I think that's where he would really excel. Put him in whatever guard spot you want, right, left, but just let him, you design your running game around his ability to be able to move people around. He can throw people with ease. I mean, those mitts you see on that guy, those things are heavy, man. Extremely heavy. I'm thoroughly, this is like one of my draft crushes without a doubt, man. So, kids, anything on Jonah before we get up out of this part?
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say is I thought he had pretty good lateral movement, man. I thought his feet were all right. Swift, that's my take. Arms are, arms leave a little bit to be desired. So I do see him as a guard too, right? So I'm kind of with both of you, but I thought the lateral movement, his feet wasn't so bad. That's my take.
Man, I just love this kid right here. I'm Swift. I'm serious, man. When I was watching this tape, I'm sitting there with my face on my fist, like, man, you have to prove to me you're not a right tackle. And he just wouldn't. He just would not. He just kept proving to me that he's perfectly suited to play tackle. And that's what I saw, man. I really did, man. That's just my honest take on him. But I do think, he's probably, some team is going to see him as a guard and they're going to leave him there. And
I think I probably just viewed him more as a guard. I mean, he did get a lot of work at guard at the Senior Bowl, and with his size, he's just so massive. I just seen him as a natural guy who just looks like GMs are going to look at him and say, I want this guy as a guard. Can he play tackle? I think maybe he can, but I wouldn't. For me, it's one of those, you kind of do it like what they tried to do with Tev. I don't know if they gave Tev a fair shot, but you let a guy start at tackle, and if they can't work it, then you move them inside to guard. Or if you're set at tackle, you let them start at guard and learn tackle on the side.
So if we drafted him, Swift, he come into a situation immediately where they're going to probably take the same mindset you just spoke to, where we don't have a necessity. You don't have to necessarily start for us. You can tell us if you can play guard in the NFL or you can play tackle. We'll start you off at tackle, and you're going to have to prove to us you can't play tackle. And I think that's the situation he would find himself if he came to the Bears. They're going to give him a run at all of it and see where he really finds himself more suitable.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's usually the philosophy. I think they've already said it. Ben Johnson said one thing that Flus would say too. They're going to find the best 5 up front. So
yeah. So I'm very high on this kid right here, and I don't make a big secret about it. He's one of the very first guys I profiled over here, and I love him. But we got to get to the next guy, and that is another guy. Remember, people, we're talking about, there's a bucket full of guys I'm pulling up that I think are right there in those first couple of picks that we have. These are the guys that I think, and Swift and Kez can tell me if they're likely or not likely early in the draft. So what do you think about Michael Williams, Kez or Swift?
No, he's smooth, bro. He gets to the tackle. He gets to the quarterback. He has stats. He is being mocked heavily to us right now. I'm pretty sure if I'm right, Mel Kiper and Daniel Jeremiah both mocked him to the Bears.
Yeah, this was one of my biggest. I mean, if you're not talking Jalen Walker beating Kelvin Banks, I mean, look at Michael Williams beating Kelvin Banks, because they played Texas twice, and both of them I think had 3 total sacks on Kelvin Banks. So I mean, there were a lot of. He's just a guy who, and also when you go back and look at his 2023 tape, he looked like a top 5 pick. He's a guy who I think Mel Kiper. I remember watching Mel Kiper and someone else talk back in mid-season about how they thought Michael Williams was going to be the number 1 pick in this draft. There wasn't a quarterback that was going to be taken higher than Michael Williams, and it was like right after he had hurt his ankle, and they said as long as he comes back and he's fine, and he came back and played through it all season, but he did struggle a bit playing through an ankle injury all season. It definitely held him back. But if you look at his 2023 tape, and I think that's what GMs might do, they're going to fall in love with this guy.
Man, I'm glad that he put that out there. I heard that too. He was at his pro day talking about that, I believe. And I was glad he put that out there because it explains a lot of things to me when I'm watching him, you know, versus what you're talking about last year and how if you're not looking closely, you don't really see it. Like the force that he was playing with the year before, you don't see that charge like that. He was winning because he's just physically more superior than pretty much everybody that he plays against. But make no mistake about this. Michael Williams is raw. He's very raw as a pass rusher. He's athletically more. He just won the genetic lottery, man. And he's more gifted than everybody he plays against. What's going to happen with him is similar to what I think happened with, I think his name is Walker, that's down in Jacksonville. It's going to start off slow until he gets his tools ready, until he sharpens his tools and gets a little bit more tools in the bag. He's going to run into more consistently some dominant left tackles that are going to challenge him. And so he's not going to be right away like that guy's going to get you 11, 12, 15 sacks in the season. But he's going to definitely affect the quarterback, and he's definitely going to affect the game in other ways. But
do you remember a guy who came out of Clemson like 2 years ago? He hasn't done much in the NFL yet, but I think that's just partly where he is. Miles Murphy, the Bengals drafted him in the first round.
Yeah,
I compare him a lot to that. He's a guy who, if you put him in and start, he's a guy who can come in and start, set the edge, and probably get 5, 6 sacks a season easy. You can count on him for that. And maybe even compare him a little bit to Montez Sweat in that way. Maybe a little bit less athletic than Montez Sweat. Montez is a super freak, so I don't want to put him on Montez's level, but he's a guy he's really good at setting the edge. He's going to play the run very well, and then he just has to work on developing his pass rush moves.
Yeah, that's basically it, man. And that's not really a knock. I think most of the edge rushers that are coming out, there's only a couple. It's only like a handful of guys that I think have 2 to 3 moves that are effective. Be honest with you, and that's typical for college guys that come out. You know, they take a minute to get their bag right. You know what I mean? But I know one thing: he comes to the Bears. I know we're getting a blue chipper. I know we're going to get a guy that's going to affect the game in multiple different ways, and not just rushing the pass. I mean, he's just like Swift said. He's going to set up a powerful edge. He's going to play the run well, and other parts. He's going to get quarterback hurries. He's going to get quarterback hits. All those things make a difference. But he's definitely he's just going to have to get adjusted to, you know, you got pro offensive linemen now that get paid to stop your ass, and now you're going to have to reach in your back. All right.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of development with this particular player. I'm hoping we get somebody who's basically plug and play with this first pick.
Well, that's where I think he's a guy. If he can come in and plug and play.
Think so?
He can be a starter right away.
Oh, yeah.
But then you're probably you rotate D linemen anyway, but then you take him out on the 3rd and longs. But that's where, what are we looking for? Is Dayo Odangbo going to be the guy who we want to be in there on the rundowns on 1st and 2nd down, and then we can either swap him inside on 3rds or send him to the bench, and then we get a pass rusher to come in on 3rd downs, or do we want a guy who can come in and start on 1st and 2nd down? I mean, they all have that upside, but I think Michael is if you want a guy that can start right now and play the run, I think he's that guy.
Yeah.
All
I definitely think if we draft him, he's going to be a starter. You're going to see heavy rotation right away.
Because, yeah, he's not a guy you want to come in on third downs right away. Like, that's where I saw someone in chat was talking about Donovan Izaraku, and he's a guy who
Russell Webster's going crazy in the chat about that.
I love Donovan. Donovan Izaraku. To me, he's a guy who he cannot play the run as well. I do think he's getting better against the run, and he's shown flashes. I can see it, but I don't know if he's big enough to hold up as a 3-down guy, especially in a Dennis Allen system from day one. But he is a guy, if we ended up with the Izaraku, I just think he's going to go off the board somewhere in between. To me, he's going 15 to 30, and we're not in that range unless we take him a little bit higher. But he's a guy who you bring in as a situational pass rusher day one. That he's just different than Michael Williams completely.
All right. You guys ready for another one? This is, again, people, we're talking about people that are likely to be drafted as the Chicago Bears. And if you notice so far, all I'm talking about is the trenches. That's why I really think they're going to go. I really believe that. I think there's going to be a trench pick on one side of the ball or the other. So that's what I focused on. So here's another guy. And, you know, a lot of people love this guy too, man. I love this guy for real. But it is Nick Scorton. I'll shut up and let you guys talk.
Ooh. Oh, kind of surprised this is who's here. I thought you would have went with Pierce. Scorton's all right. Like, he's got measurables. I like Pierce a heck of a lot more. And that's really who I thought you were going to pull up next, just considering you know what I mean? Considering we're on the edge rusher train.
I can't disagree with liking Pierce more.
Yeah.
But with Scourton's a guy I really like. He was right up there when you go back a year. If you go back 1 year, there were 3 guys all viewed above Abdul Carter, because Abdul Carter wasn't even an edge rusher a year ago. He was an off-ball linebacker. They still had, who were the two? It was a guy I really liked last year. It went in the Chop Robinson, Chop and Adiza Isaac. Those were the Penn State edge rushers. And Abdul Carter
moved him up when you're right. You're right.
He kind of, so last year he played he was kind of like Jalen Walker. He played linebacker and would kind of move around and blitz. And then this year, with those guys gone, he was a full-time edge rusher. But if you go back a year, Scourton was a guy viewed as a potential top 10 pick. And that's before he transferred to Texas A&M. And they had that stud defensive line. So I think what happened is, look, they had Nick Scourton. They had Shemar Stewart. They had Shemar Turner on the inside. People expected them to dominate. And they had a good season, but he didn't even live up to the potential he showed last year. So I think that's why Scourton's fallen down boards a little bit. But man, I love him as a player. Like, he had 10 sacks for Purdue in 2023. So when you get 10 sacks for Purdue and then you transfer and you're on a D line with Shemar Stewart and Shemar Turner, people are expecting him to get 15 sacks this year, and he only had 5. So that's why they're down on him. I see him falling a bit. I've always had him going late first round. I believe he's a guy who has a real shot at being there at pick 39. And if we can land this guy at 39, it'll be an absolute home run, and I'd love it.
Yeah. So guys, remember, let me just reiterate, we're not talking about the number 10 pick necessarily. We're talking about in the first couple of picks or so.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't think he's an option at pick 10, but I think he's a guy who does have a shot to be there in round 2, and I really like him as a player. I actually like his tape more than Shemar Stewart, who's going to get drafted higher than him.
Anything, kids? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say these are some of these guys that we're looking at here now is potential trade back situations, right? Like, these are guys, if they did decide to move off of the 10th pick and go a little bit deeper into the draft, where they could really make a splash with an edge rusher selection.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be brief because I already got shorts out on all these guys. So if you guys really want to hear what I think about any of these guys, these are just players we previewed earlier in the offseason. I'll just pull them up just so Swift and guests and talk about them, to get their thoughts on, even if they don't agree with me, if they don't think these guys will be drafted early enough, they can tell me. But I just think these guys have come off the board early, and I think they got to be high on the Bears board in the first 2 or 3 picks, so they've got to be. So I just think this guy, his engine, his motor is serious. This guy just doesn't quit, and I just love the tenacity he plays with. It's nothing that he doesn't do. I mean, way above average as a college football player. I think it translates well to the NFL, and I think he's going to be a day one starter. Some might say that, with the length on him, he might fit more as a 3-4 edge, but I think I've seen enough of him putting his hand in the dirt and setting the edge and getting after the quarterback in a 4-3 base, format. I've seen enough of it to say that I'm pretty sure Dennis Allen's got this guy high on his list. I mean,
my bad. He's a guy who he has more pass. I think he's a better pass rusher than Mykel Williams right now. So he is a guy who he can come in and be a third down pass rusher because he does have really good pass rush moves. But he also, if depending on who takes him, he is a guy you can put him out there and he has the upside to be a 3-down starter. And if you're comparing, I'm going to get a 3-down. If I want a 3-down lineman, is it going to be Scourton or Mykel Williams? Scourton's the better pass rusher. Mykel's the better run stuffer. Same with James Pierce Jr. James Pierce, out of the 3, James Pierce Jr. is the best pass rusher, but he's the worst run defender. Scourton's like an average run defender, but a good pass rusher. And then Mykel is your really good run stuffer who has some upside as a pass rusher.
Nick Gordon makes Pierce look like dog shit in the run game.
Yeah.
That's one thing. That's if James Pierce was more forceful in the run game, I'd be standing on the table for him. And I know how dominant of a pass rusher he is at getting pressures and touching the quarterback and all that kind of thing. But if you can't set the edge in a 4-3, it's going to be hard for you to get on the field.
Well, that's what Dale's for. And that's sort of the way I'm looking at it with respect to James Pierce. I know Dale's going to get he's going to get reps. There's no questions there. They're paying him a lot of money. He can set the edge for sure. That's also already been established. So if you bring in a true pass rush specialist, we might see some sack numbers here. And that's why James Pierce kind of jumps out to me as a potential prospect for the Bears. Like I have to say it.
Well, I gotta ask Nomad before we talk about James. Is James Pierce one of the guys you have that you're gonna bring up? Because
no.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and just say it because to me, James Pierce is one of my favorite guys for pick 10. Mm-hmm. He is. I absolutely love his athleticism as a pass rusher. He's a guy he doesn't have to come in and be a run stuffer right away. If Deo can do that, you have other guys who can set the edge at run. He's a guy who can come in and get after the quarterback, and then you have him get bigger and stronger and learn to set the edge. Dennis Allen can teach him that, and that's what good coaches are for, right? But the more I see it, like he's a guy who last year at this time was projected as a top 5 pick. He had another pretty good season. He wasn't great against the run, but now he's fallen down draft. He's dropping like a rock. Like every week, he just keeps dropping more and more. I think both Chad Reuter and Mel Kiper both had him falling out of the first round within the last couple of days. And that wasn't, he was going.
Chad Reuter?
NFL.com guy. He did a 4-round mock. His mock, he does 4 rounds, so he knows his prospects pretty well, and he's connected with the NFL.
Show you how much I know. Swift, do you want to jump on this question? Derek Guy is asking either one of us.
Nomad and Swifty, if you can produce results in college, what makes you think that they could produce in the NFL? Please explain that to me.
Is that how he meant it, or is he saying can't produce?
I think he can't.
Yeah, I'm thinking he meant to ask it a different way. That's because I don't know exactly what he means by that.
I think he's saying he's basically saying if they're a producer in college, why wouldn't it translate to the NFL?
It depends. I think, and it depends on the competition sometimes.
That's it.
But what are we talking about? It depends on the position. Like if we're talking about left tackles, like or arm length or something, that's just GMs. Like GMs will move guys, but who are we talking about that produce that we wouldn't produce in the NFL?
I would say most of the conversation about that right now is either Will Campbell with the arms or Ashton Genty being at Boise State most of the time.
But they're definitely different games. I mean, even when you just watching college tape, if I know some people in chat don't like, maybe have never even watched tape. It's completely different than watching highlights. Like college game is sloppy. It's not like the NFL is precise. It's timing based. Everyone is doing a great job. You rarely see people doing absolute dumb things unless you're watching the Bears offensive line all the time over the last 10 years. But college tape is just sloppy. So guys, you can produce in college and get away with things. Like James Pierce wasn't very good against the run, but you can get away with that in college with different schemes and by protecting him. In the NFL, you can't really have major weaknesses. Like we saw that with Mark Anderson. He was a guy he could get after quarterbacks, right? He was really good coming in on third downs, but Lovie Smith was like, "Oh, let me start him." Teams saw it and ran right down his throat, and we were awful and ruined his whole career.
So Derek Guy is clarifying. He's talking about Nick Scorton with 1.5 sacks in college. Is that right?
No, that's not right.
Let me
He had
look.
10 sacks last season. So in 2022 at Purdue, he had 2 sacks. In 2023 at Purdue, he had 10 sacks. This season, he had 5 sacks. I think Derek Guy is confusing him with his teammate, Shemar Stewart.
Yeah,
That's not Shemar Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't get much sack production. I don't know his numbers exactly, but he definitely didn't get.
He had 15 over the last 2 years. I mean, he had 10 last season at Purdue, and then he transferred. He was the guy who transferred to Texas A&M this season. He only had 5 this year, so he had half of his 10 last year. But he was playing with the guy who got 1.5, Shemar Stewart, and he's another first-round pick. So when you think you have both those guys on the same line, you think they would have got a lot more sacks, but they didn't. Yeah, so he was thinking it was Shemar Stewart. Yeah, no, different guy, man.
Wasn't Shemar hurt?
I don't know.
He played all year. He had 50 pressures. He just can't finish. I mean, he's just reckless. I think part of it was when you watch the tape, it kind of looks like, because you have Nick Scourton at one side, right? And he's an accomplished edge rusher. And then on the other side, they just had Shemar Stewart, and they said, "Look, you're just like a bull in a china shop. Just wreak havoc."
Havoc, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he did. But he didn't get many sacks. He had 50 pressures and 1.5 sacks. That's kind of hard to do, to get that close to the quarterback that many times and only get a sack and a half. So I don't know exactly. But he dominated the Senior Bowl. There was like a 7-on-7 series where he had like 4 sacks in 4 straight plays. So it's like, what are you getting there? He's so tough.
Yeah, I already know, man. When I'm done getting these shorts out, you're gonna be all over these shorts. I'll tell you right now, you're gonna be all over the place. I can just tell right now, the AI is definitely picking up on what you're saying. You're probably doing the most talking, but keep it up. Keep that coming, because I got another guy right here. We got quite a few here left. What do you guys? I'm gonna shut up about it and let you guys talk. What you guys think about Josh Conerly? If you had a chance to check him out.
Man, I like Conerly. He's a guy. Samo loves this dude. He's a guy who he has the body, like his shape. If you look at him on tape, he looks like, oh my God, look, Samo just
right here.
Get
your ass on the show, Samo. Come on, man. Come on. Let's send your invite right now.
I just randomly like, bro, Samo loved this dude, man. Samo, I was kind of down on him, and Samo changed my mind. I ain't gonna lie, because I was like, he's a guard, man. If you look at his body type, like he just has the like pudgy frame of a guard, but he has the length and the footwork of a tackle. So he's tough to place. I think he's a really interesting prospect. I think he's probably going to end up going late first round, though. That's my thing with him. Is he's a guy. He probably won't get by the Chiefs, but if he falls to us at pick 39, he's a guy I could see Ryan Poles considering him. I think I like Ariante Ursary a little bit better, the Minnesota guy. He's a little bit more Ryan Poles fit with the super long arms.
So those are my two guys, like Josh Conerly and Ariante Ursary. Those are my two tackle selections in the second, like with pick 39 or 41 for the Chicago Bears if they don't do the tackle thing at pick 10. Josh is he's you nailed it though, Swifty. He's a little bit more pudgy, but he does have the measurables. He's got that foot quickness and he's got the base. So I like Conerly. I do also like Ursary just a little bit more, man. He's a little bit more nimble than Conerly, a little bit more svelte than Conerly, and a little bit more lengthy than Conerly.
I think Conerly's probably the better player, but Ursary has the better measurables right now. Like Ursary has the longer arms, and he's a little bit taller. So you're like, he fits that left tackle mold that people look for a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
Man, listen. The short is out there. Everybody that wants to go see it, go to the Nomad Network YouTube channel and you go through those shorts. And he's one of the very first ones that we did the offseason. I was so enamored by this player. I mean, when I tell you, I think he is he's probably, in my opinion, the best all-around left tackle in this draft. And I love Will Campbell. I think Will Campbell technically, he and Josh Conerly are right there neck and neck as far as superiority goes, as far as the technique. Now, Josh Conerly gets a leg up for me with the athleticism. He was a running back in high school. You could see the athletic traits all the time watching this game. I know a lot of people saw some bad stuff down at the Senior Bowl when they were just mixing guys in here and there. He's getting one-on-ones on the right side, left side. Don't let any that take that for what it's worth, for face value. Let me tell you something. This is a superior offensive tackle in this draft if there is one. I'm stupid high on this guy. And I was not surprised that this was one of their first scheduled top 30 visits because I kept going back to the tape and saying to myself, man, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. But this guy's mirroring ability, his feet, just how he can recover. It's a treat to watch. And I think, to be honest with you, just along that offensive line front in Oregon, I think that was probably from tackle to tackle, probably the best unit in college. That was set up for them to win a championship. And they got real close, Swifty and Kez, man. This guy is better than, I hear a lot of people responding to the stuff that happened down at the Senior Bowl. And I'm telling you right now, this guy is legit, man. He's the real deal fucking Holyfield. I'm telling you. He's legit.
Man, I gotta find that Senior Bowl. I'm almost positive the one everyone's saying, was it the Mike Green one?
Mike Green did bull rush the shit out of him.
He caught him off guard on that one, man. Let me see.
Mike, you talking about the Mike Green? Yeah, that's all over the internet. He definitely bull rushed the shit out of him. That wasn't the only guy he did that to. He did that to other tackles in the draft too.
Well, so if you watch that clip, people got to go slow it down because people are hating on him way too much for that. When you watch that clip,
right, it was that right tackle. He did that.
Yep. No, what happens in that clip? If you slow it down, Mike Green literally slams his helmet into Josh Conerly's face mask, bops him right in the face with his helmet, smashes his helmet like back into his face. So you imagine getting popped in the face with a guy full speed with his helmet to helmet right in your face. And then he kind of stumbles. And as he's stumbling, Mike Green pushes him over. But it's not.
Yeah.
People make way too much out of that one clip. Like, it's one play, but it's also in the NFL, that's a penalty. You can't smack your helmet into the face of the offensive lineman.
Ask you, Swift. Matter of fact, when you were watching tape on any of these offensive linemen, how many times did you fucking see that during any of the plays that somebody just ran smack dab into him? How many times did you see that?
Yeah, never. You can't do that. Yeah. I mean, if you could do that, hey, Mike Green, he does have. I love Mike Green, and Mike Green is a guy. He's a guy. He has that dog in him. I mean, anyone who watches him, he's undersized. He knows it. People have doubted him his whole life, but I love him as a player. The question with Mike Green is he has legit off-field concerns. He has stuff that's accused against him that I'm not trying to get into.
Did you see that? Did you see that little short? Did you see that little short I put out about that?
I didn't see that one. I'll have to look for that one.
So more or less, I was talking more or less about, what it's like that college experience if you're an athlete, how often shit like that can happen to you. That shit was present even in high school for me. You know what I mean? It was just motherfuckers around that was, getting in compromised situations, and if the shit didn't turn out the way that girl wanted it to, or if he flexed on her ass and was just like, treated her like she was a scrub.
I wish we were in a different world, man. You see it with the people have already condemned Xavier Worthy, and it's like we're supposed to live in a world where people are innocent until proven guilty, and it's like you never know what happened. Like if he's hitting the girl for real, like hey, he should probably be out of the NFL, and that's usually what happens. We've seen it with Ray Rice and all them, but there are crazy people out there. And when I saw his dreads ripped out of his head, look, hey, oh man,
yo, that hurts a lot. I used to have dreadlocks. It's not.
Oh man, I've had my hair pulled. I ain't even have dreads, and I've had my hair pulled out, man.
Imagine like a clump. It's extremely painful. It's very, very painful. That being said, I just want to give my general hotel and hookers disclaimer. Hotels and hookers are out there,
Man,
go do that instead of the other thing.
Hey, Samo, I know has been on the college campus as an athlete. Ask Samo what it's like. Ask him, is it any too many dudes walking around, especially somebody of his caliber, worrying about females? Does he have to force himself on a woman? Anybody that's been on the college campus as an athlete, especially as a football player, man, you already know what the deal is, man. You know what the deal is. I'm not saying that guy is A1 perfect and there's no possibility that he could have done something wrong. All I'm saying is it's less than likely.
Yeah, we just live in a society like I just wish people weren't judged. So I'm not trying to say anyone's guilty or not guilty or anything like that. That's not. I don't try to take part in that. Like that's up for other people to decide, not me. I'm not one to judge. I'm just saying. There's too many people that do judge in today's social media driven world where people will see one little thing and want to jump to the first conclusion without having any proof or anything. And it's like, I just wish we would at least try to find facts sometimes, people, because people are lazy. People won't even try to research it. They'll read one thing and think they know the whole story and try to tell other people the story. And it's like, why are you telling a story when you don't know? But we're off topic. Let's get off that.
I mean, it's very interesting that it's happening now. Isn't it ironic that story is permeating now?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pro girl, man. I've mentored and counseled girls, countless of them, man. I'm tending to believe the female more times than not, but I let my instincts tell me what the truth is, and I don't think, I just got a feeling there's some other bullshit going on here.
Personally, like I'm saying, hotels and hookers, man. Just get your ass out of there. Go stay in a hotel, or leave her, and go deal with a hooker. This way, you don't have to put your hands on anybody. Nobody gets hurt. There's no charges, and you're off to the races. That's what I'm trying to say.
Hey, America, do not listen to kids of Canuck. I was almost said something wrong, but that's a good way to get venereal diseases, fucking around like that.
I didn't say don't wrap it up.
Oh my God!
Take your precautions, y'all. You know what you need to do.
Man, dude,
is your grandma watching? No, man.
It's probably more free ballers in the chat than there is prophylactics.
I'm definitely the scrolls. Anyhow, I'm just.
All right, I got to do this shit. Let me see. Samo just chimed in. He says it was too easy to take advantage of any girl. It was, yeah. You just don't like, dog. It's like if I got graphic about some of the shit I saw, people will probably not like me. You know what I mean? It's just Like I can look out my window in the dorm and it'd be a pack of girls sitting there, and I could tell the RA from my floor, send this one and this one up. And it's that easy. Any one of them. So if you do that on a regular basis, nightly basis after practice, you go eat, go take a shower, and it's on a Wednesday night, you might, man, anything can happen, man. You get to drinking and people start doing drugs and all kind of shit that be going on. And then they embarrassed because you don't treat them how they wanted to be treated. And so, yeah, I've seen it, man. You know, it ain't happened to me, luckily, but I could have definitely been one of those guys that became a victim of some of that, man, because I wasn't perfect as a 18, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid. I wasn't. I was a boy, you know. But that's that, man. Let's get to the next guy.
Howie asked a good question there back on that tackle situation. He said, if both Conerly and Ursery fell. Oh, no, he said, I thought he meant fell to pick 39. Felled at left tackle. What position would you put him at? I mean, Conerly easily would move to guard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, left guard. Ursery, same thing. Anytime a tackle fells, you just move him to guard. I mean,
inside, yeah.
For the Bears, I guess right now, I was thinking right guard, but until we extend Tooney, I'd say left guard. But either guard spot, you want him to be able to play both. So,
Marlon Johnson just busted up in this piece. What up, Marlon?
What's up, Marlon? We got all kinds of awesome folks out there. Create culture. Ain't seen you before. Please like, share, subscribe. Samo, what it do, brother? Give us a little thumbs up, my man. I know you will. Victor Perez is here with us. There's a couple other heads I saw in here that I didn't usually see. I just want to give a little bit of extra love to y'all.
All right.
Dr. Earl's back. Brandon J. Bias. Ken Kong. What it do, Ken?
Ken Kong, I like that.
Creature,
I like that name too. That's kind of a dope name.
Creature Culture just got in here.
Yeah, Creature Culture was the first guy I said. Crooked Commish, shout out to Crooked. Ed Breeze jumped in. Just looking for folks I ain't seen before. Russell Webster. Please, y'all, like, share, subscribe. Give us a little bit of love till the next time we're back on here doing content.
Big Russ up in here.
Tomorrow.
All right, y'all ready for the next guy?
Let's go.
We got a few to get through, man.
Oh,
guy right there.
One of my, I was gonna say that's one of my favorites in the whole. I'm a sucker for Ohio State guys, man. I think
you too.
With picks 39 and 41, if we could land, you give me Tyleek Williams and Quinshon Judkins, I'm going to sleep happy.
Yeah, Swifty, I'm right there with you, man. 100 billion%. And like, I won't be mad if it's Travion either. Like, let's just be real about it.
I won't either. No, I like Travion.
I won't be mad because, like, man, this kid here, though, a lot of noise about Kenneth Grant. I like him too. But this kid here is just a wrecking ball. Mad athleticism. He's going to get you some pressure.
He's a lot like Kenneth Grant.
They're very similar prospects, man. So, like, personally, if we trade back in and around the 25, 26 range and certain players have gone, I have drafted this guy by way of mock a bunch of times, and I think he would be fantastic at DT for the Bears.
I've seen him go I think he could go first round. The only reason I think he's probably there at 39 is because of all the D tackles in front of him. Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant and Derek Harmon out of Oregon, and then probably Walter Nolan too, maybe. But if all those guys go earlier than they thought, he could definitely go late first, and then we're out of luck.
Can I tell you guys what I think? Now, I'm a defensive tackle, defensive line freak right about now, man. You know, I really study these guys hard. And I'm not saying this that I know more than anybody else. What I'm saying to you is what I think based on the compilation of shit that I've seen. You know, I've seen a lot of defensive tackles, man, in this draft. But I think the most complete, the most, I guess, NFL ready to start day one on. I mean, he has got it all. He has got it all. He stayed just long enough at Ohio State to get everything that he needs to get. He's played against the top talent. He's dominated everything. He requires a double team. Tyleek Williams. Now, I love there's a multitude of three techs in particular that I like. There's a multitude of pure nose tackles that I like. But I'm talking about the combination of a little bit of everything, the most complete and the most ready NFL defensive tackle in this draft to me is Tyleik Williams. And I love Kenneth Grant. Don't get me wrong. And I know a lot of people love that guy too, but I think he's a couple of steps ahead at this point. Now, Kenneth Grant's ceiling could be higher than Tyleik Williams because he's just a special dancing bear kind of athlete. He's a freak. But I'm talking about right now, ready to plug and play right now in the NFL. He's an NFL defensive tackle playing in college right now. He should have been playing in the NFL this year. He's above and beyond. I'm telling you, he plays the complete game, man. Run stopper, you know, how he faces the double teams and really sometimes really never gives up ground. I mean, he's ready to go. Tyleik Williams is a stud defensive tackle, and too many times to count. I've done mock drafts, and I'm at this point at 10. He's a guy that tends to come off the board. Not at 10, but when I move back one. So if I'm at wherever it is, it's from 14 to 18 to freaking 21. You know, I've seen different stuff, but that guy's usually there. And if he's at the top of the board, I don't really argue with it. I just take him. And so go ahead, kid.
I was just saying, that's what I'm saying. If I'm trading back, there's really two targets I'm aiming at, and he's one of them. He's number 2. Number 1 is Nick Emanwari. I'll be honest with you. As much as I don't think we need a safety really at that level, Nick's just super good. But this is my guy outside of that. If Nick Emanwari is gone, I'm looking at Tyleik Williams every single time. I have to say it.
Man, anything else on Tyleik, Swift?
Yeah, I gotta say he's one of my probably top 5 players in the whole draft. Just like personal favorites. Like he just, I've loved watching him in college. Everybody always talked about JT Tui and Jack Sawyer, but over the last few years, Tyleik has been the best player on that defensive line, game in and game out. He's a stud. I try not to overhype him because he's my favorite for pick 39 or 41. I think our best chance is someone crazy might fall to 39. So we take that guy at 39, and then we let the Saints take whoever at 40, and then we come back at 41 and we take Tyleik.
Hey, Samuel, I got a quick question for you. Does he remind you? Do you think about Larry Ogunjobi when you're watching this cat play sometime? I think about a lot of Larry Ogunjobi when I'm watching him play.
Decent comp. That's a decent.
I think he's better against the run than Larry O.
Yeah, Larry Ogunjobi pretty damn good on the run. I mean, but he's a better pass rusher than he is a run defender. You're right.
Yeah,
I have to agree with that. All right, so let's get to the next guy. I'm super duper high on Tyleik. Super duper high. This is gonna cause a conversation. I'm just showing you what you guys get at it.
This is the guy Derek Guy was talking about. Now, look, he's a freak athlete. He literally broke
freak athlete right there. You're
broke the RAS score. Like he had the highest RAS score ever. So they had to rechange the metrics to make him the 10. So everybody else's number went down just a little bit because he set a new bar for freak athlete at the position. He's literally Myles Garrett. He has Myles Garrett's body, but if anything will teach us like what those comps will get you, Chase Claypool was Megatron's body. He had Calvin Johnson's body, same size and speed. So it's an NFL GM's going to fall in love with this guy, but it's a tell, man. I don't know if he's not the guy I want the Bears to take right now, not at 10. He scares me, but someone's going to, all the tools are there, man. And he had the pressures. Like I said, it's just some GM or coach. If Dennis Allen sees him though and is like, I can make this guy the next Myles Garrett, oh goodness, we're in for a ride because Bears fans would hate it.
Scrolls, hey Scrolls, man, you go to the fucking doctor, all right, man. Something's wrong with you, dude. Something's wrong with you. This motherfucker say you look like RG3.
No, he kind of do. Look at it. Look at his face.
Oh wow. Okay.
He's a beefed up RG3, bro. That might be that. Hey, Scrolls knows what he's talking about, man. I see it.
Oh my god.
That's
Scrolls, man. Something's wrong with you, man.
You don't think he look a little bit? Give him dreads.
Man, he does look like RG3 beefed up that's took the needle, man.
But I would have never thought about that without Sproles
Here's
saying
the
it,
fucking
though.
scrolls, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's
But this guy's just like, he's an enigma, man. He has all the tools, he had the pressures, but 1.5 sacks in not just this year, but the last 3 seasons.
Yeah,
On top of that, no sacks in the last 7 games of any year of his career.
man. This dude, listen, I'm gonna get it out here.
So what's missing with him? Like I haven't been able to figure it out.
I'm gonna take it there for you, kids. I'm gonna bring this. I'm gonna land this goddamn plane right now. Let me tell you something. Number one, I'm gonna get it right out. I think he's gonna end up being a D tackle because he doesn't have bend. When he gets around the corner, he cannot finish. There's no wonder why he doesn't get the sacks. Yep. He'll stall out once he's speed. He's got the burst. He will get on top of a guy. But when it comes to there's an elite trait with edge rushers, the really, really good ones. There's an elite trait. Like you just go turn on some Myles Garrett film and watch that beast when he gets on top of a tackle, when he's ready to bend that corner and get around, the kind of bend and ankle flexion, the fluidity around his hips and lower body and in his legs, and how he can finish a pass rush. Shemar Stewart cannot finish a pass rush because he does not have that trait to him.
Yep. I said something similar before. I mean, you see his body type too. He's 6'6", 290, and he's so raw that a D-line coach or a defensive coordinator is going to look at him and say, I can mold this guy into either a 3-tech or an edge. So they just so much potential with him. That's why he's probably going to go top 15.
I mean, if you get in a defensive tackle, you're not mad just because he's not the elite. I would not draft this guy to. I need an edge rusher on my team to really get me over the top.
Yeah,
with a good defense, this ain't the guy you're going to get. I'm sorry, and
so
he's
more of a project, is what you're saying.
He'll win the underwear Olympics, and I think as a defensive tackle, I think he's got more upside than this is being polite about it. As a defensive tackle, I think he's got more upside than as an edge rusher.
Yeah, but I think you see him in that 3-tech. I mean, and you wish Texas A&M would have tried him at that a little bit more, but they had good defensive tackles too. So,
but holy shit, the dude is a freak of nature. Just because you're not getting an edge rusher doesn't mean you're not going to end up with a dominant football player at some point. I just don't see that dominance coming as an edge rusher. Either this guy is going to have to lean into speed to power and have a counter move to that, or nothing. There's no getting around the corner for Shemar Stewart. He doesn't have the flexibility to do it.
To me, I think he's not a fit for the Bears. I think what we're looking for in this draft, and I know a lot of people, I think some fans are going to be a little disappointed this draft. I know everybody's been mocking trenches. I do not think we go 3 picks in the trenches with those first 3 picks. I just don't see it. I know I think with all the moves they've made in the trenches, I think what their plan for this draft is those first 3 picks are impact players, regardless of position. They're going to meet together and say which players can make the most immediate impact right now. And that's where and that could be a running back, could be a tight end, could be a safety, it could be a linebacker. But especially in that first pick, I don't see us taking offensive line. I don't think we're going to draft someone to be a backup with a top 10 pick. Now, of course, that guy could be a starter later on, but they want to win right now. This team is trying to win right now. So they're not going to draft a guy for
to sit on a bench, bro. Like I'm so
at pick 10. Now injuries happen, but you can do that same thing in round 2 and 3. You can draft a backup because there's so much depth in this draft. So if you're drafting for depth, you can do that in round 2, 3, or 5, not pick 10.
Swift, we've had that show. I don't know. We did it recently too, kids. It was on a Sunday, I believe. We did a whole show about they're going to draft they want to get impact players at this point. They've set themselves up to do that. I'm just throwing out theories of what they might be thinking in Hallis Hall. that's definitely one of the ones that's at the top of my radar. Is they are looking at impact players, whether it be on the line, defense, wherever it is. It's just who they think are impact players.
No,
And
the only thing I disagree, I will say one of those first 3 picks are probably going to be an edge rusher. Like,
I agree, and I do also think we're probably looking at a left. Like, there's going to be a left tackle and an edge rusher out of one of those, one of those 3. I think that's exactly how it rolls out. But the way that this offseason is gone, they've set it up so that they're not beholden to any specific selection here. They can do whatever the F they want, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love the fact that they can go straight up luxury pick with pick number 10. They can trade back. It's great, brother. In fact, we should have really been in the same position last season with the draft, but things went a little bit sideways, and then we got a little bit too let me just call it overzealous towards as the draft progressed. But at this present time, the holes have been filled. That's what they wanted to do. That's what we all wanted them to do. So now they can select anything they want in that with that number 10, 39, and 41. And I expect each one of these things to be impact caliber players. So I'm with it, man. I'm super hype.
Well, hold your horses, man, because we got several more players to talk about. Let's go here, man. I'm choosing which one I want to get to, but since we just did, let's go here. Tell me your thoughts, man. I did. Go ahead, Swift.
No, I think he's just a more athletic Tyleik Williams. I mean, he's an absolute freak, and probably he has the potential to be the best DT in this class. And that's this DT class is so strong. Like, one of these guys could even fall. I could see Kenneth Grant going anywhere between pick 10 and 39.
See, and this is
why
he's
a top 15. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just saying this is why I don't, when folks are really zeroing in on Mason Graham, I take a step back and I'm like, this DT class is so deep that you can get a high caliber DT a little bit later. Not only that, do we need a 3-tech now that we just got Grady Jarrett in the mix and we also have Jervon Dexter? We need a nose, and these 2 guys will fit that bill, man. Whether it's Tyleik or whether it's KG, I'm with it, man. I have no problems with either one of these guys wearing a Bears jersey moving forward.
Man, yeah, he's one of those guys. I could see us taking him at 10, and a lot of people would be surprised, and I wouldn't be. I'd be like, yep, there we go, baby, Kenneth Grant. And a lot of people, I haven't seen him mocked at 10 very much, but he's a guy who's definitely good enough to go a pick 10.
No, like I say, I would trade back and see which one of these guys is available. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I would play this.
Man, I think once you get to that part of the draft, I don't see him falling too far, man.
Well, somebody's going to take one of these 2 guys. You know what I mean? I'm talking about Tyleik and Kenneth Grant. Somebody's going to select them. So if you drop back a little bit, you take the guy who's left over, and you're a happy camper, man.
You know what? I'm gonna. This might sound like a stretch, but just go back to the tape and look closely, and go back to this guy's tape I'm about to compare him to and look closely. This guy has got the mobility of Warren Sapp at his size.
Ooh, okay, yeah. I mean, he could be more athletic than Warren. I mean, he was one of Bruce Feldman's number 1 top athletic freaks. Like,
that's why, Swift, because
he's insane.
He's got the mobility of a 280, 290 pound defensive lineman. His athleticism is outright freakish. Watching it, I'm just like, this guy has no business being this fucking athletic at that size. None whatsoever. It's an anomaly. And watching him play and knowing how much he doesn't know. You know what I mean? I know he's just playing off of sheer athleticism. I know they got some good coaches down in Michigan or up at Michigan, but he's a baby when it comes to what he's going to be. So that's why I say ceiling wise, he could surpass Tyleik Williams, and I think Tyleik is the best in the draft. But this guy's upside, if he takes to coaching and gets with a really good coach that is serious about the development and polishing a gem of a football player, Kenneth Grant is special in that way. That athleticism is God's, that's a gift. He's got no business being that damn athletic and bouncy and nimble at that size. Come on, man. This is a 240-pound dude.
Yeah. All I'm saying is folks won't be running us down if we get either one of these guys. That's why I'm down with both of these two particular DTs in that run all over the Bears shit that happened last season. Got to dead that.
This DT class, man, it's nice, and he's one of the best.
Man, this guy right here, there's no telling what's going to happen. If you put this guy with the right coach, and that coach falls in love with him and decides that, you know what, Kenneth Grant, I see you. All you got to do is follow this yellow brick road, and I will lead you to where you need to go. And it's going to be with a gold jacket on you. You just have to be willing to be coached, and you have to be willing to be molded. If he takes that mindset and decide that, coach, make me your protege, turn me into what you think I can be, fucking forget about it. There won't be a guy in the league that can fuck with him. That's how dominant he can be. But he's got to get into the right hands, man. But holy shit, this dude's a trip.
Like I said, this DT class is crazy, bro. I'm just saying.
Man, he is special, man.
I mean, and even if we miss out on all those guys, if they decide to go other positions, there's guys like Omar, Norman, Lott, and
yeah, brother, yeah.
I really
started with him.
DJ Sanders. There's just other guys, man.
Let me get this guy off the screen.
Who else you got? Who's the next one?
You ready for the next one? We got about, let me see, 1, 2, 3. We got a couple more to go. We got a few more to go. Hold on. Just bear with me, you guys. All right, let's get with this. No, I'm gonna let you guys take off on this.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you guys a few things.
Anthony, man, he really proved it at the Senior Bowl. He was a guy I had a lot of questions about going in the Senior Bowl a lot, and I had him projected probably to move inside to guard, but he showed up, had the 6'6", had the arm length, and he's still kind of big. But I sometimes I like those big tackles. Obviously, I think he's more of a right tackle than a left tackle, and we need a left tackle more. I'm not really into the moving Darnell Wright to left tackle stuff and then creating another hole. I think we, just like the Detroit has done. Ben Johnson already compared Penei Sewell to Darnell Wright, so I'm leaving him there at right tackle. But I like Anthony. I think it's a guy who's going to go high. He's going to go somewhere between our 2nd round pick and our 3rd round pick. He's a guy who could go as high as right around our 2nd rounder, but if he's still there at pick 72, he's definitely an option.
Go ahead, kids.
Yeah, I'm kind of right where Swifty is. I paid a little bit less attention to Anthony Belton just because he's on the right-hand side. I want a true lefty. He does have the measurables, though, and he's also got pretty decent lateral movement, too. Odds are he's mid-2nd round, maybe later, depending on how quickly those right tackles fly off the board. Sort of my take on Anthony Belton. Super solid player, but again, I think the Bears specifically need a left tackle.
There's a couple of tackles on both sides, left, right tackles that I fell in love with really quick. 2 of them in particular are Anthony Belton. Well, I looked at Armand Mimbo first before I found Anthony Belton and looked at his stuff. But I came away from this, and this might surprise a few people, but I would say that I think the better prospect, and I do think his athleticism and the traits that he displays on the right side transfer to the left. I think he's that good of an athlete. I think it's better than Armand Mimbo. And he's another one of those guys like Jonah Savanea, who, I don't know how people are projecting him, but I think Anthony Belton's going to come off the board quicker than you think. Now, this guy is absolutely impressive, man. I just kept on rewinding the tape. It was one game, trying to remember who it was, whether it was I can't remember. I don't even want to try to right now, but I just kept rewinding. It was this play where he got double moved, and it was against a quicker edge rusher. It was like one of those 6'2", 6'3", 235, 240 pounds. Should have been a linebacker standing up somewhere, but he's rushing off the edge, and he caught him. The guy gave him a inside. He gave him an inside rip, and then it's just kind of rolled off him and spent to the outside to try to get to the quarterback. Any normal human offensive lineman would have been beat. This guy recovered. And I was just like, holy shit. And he just threw him out of the play. I just kept rewinding it. And that you can see that pretty consistently on his tape. You know, throughout his games, man, he it's like he challenged himself this year. It appeared to me that I'm not going to let no quick edge rusher beat me. If he got a second move, I'm a counter. And that's what I seen on tape. I think Anthony Belton is in that top 3 to 5. I think can start at left tackle anywhere in the NFL.
Left or right?
Guys, yes. I think Anthony Belton is a better prospect than Armand Membo, and I think highly of Armand Membo.
That's crazy talk.
I think Mimbu's a stud. I wouldn't know that, but I do think he's rising up the boards. I think Belton's. He definitely surprised me at the Senior Bowl. He handled all those stud edge rushers really well. So I think he's going to go high. He's going to go day 2. I'm not as high on him as Nomad though.
Yeah, I like Membo quite a bit more.
Membo's my favorite tackle in the draft. Yeah.
I like his, just to give Anthony Belton a little bit of extra love. I thought he was pretty good in run blocking, though. I thought he performed very well. Pass protection, he can get a little bit better over time. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll develop a bit better in that capacity down the road. But if we're making a comparison to Membu, I would take Membu all day long.
Okay, that's my take on on Anthony Belton. I think he's a superior talent. I think he can do anything he wants to do, whether it's on the right or left hand side. He just, depending on the coaching, love the kid.
All right. If you're talking left tackle, though, I will say Belton probably has a better future at left tackle than Membu. I think Membu's probably right tackle or an all. For me, I have him as a guy who's like a right tackle, or he's going to move inside and be like an all pro type guard.
I'm thinking every time I go back to the tape on Armand Membu, who is up next. That's I love his. Go ahead, guys, man. I'm just gonna shut up.
To me, he's the best offensive lineman in the draft, but he's either a right tackle or a guard. But he's a stud. He's a monster. He finishes people. He's got great footwork, athleticism. He's powerful, and he's probably going to go pick 4 to the Patriots unless if the Giants take Shedeur, the Patriots will probably just take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. But if both those guys end up going, if the Giants trick people and take Travis Hunter, Patriots are probably going to take Membu at pick 4. That's how high he can go. He's a stud.
What the hell? What the Giants doing? What are they thinking over there in New York? They have nobody. Who's their quarterback right now?
They signed Russ Jamo.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, so Russell Wilson is in New York.
Yeah,
I heard about the Jameis Winston move. I heard about that one.
What'd you say, Swift, a couple hours ago?
Yeah, they got Russ too. Yeah.
Okay.
Earlier today. Yeah.
All right, so maybe they do go.
Say that one more time. What'd you just say now?
So that makes me Russell Wilson is with the Giants. So if they don't take a quarterback, Membu's probably going top 5.
Ooh-wee.
That's very
let me get through these guys because we do need to fiddle around with a move real quick before we get out of here. We got a couple more guys to get to. Real quick, Armand Membo, very high on him. And then I'm gonna let you guys take stand. We're gonna get to the next guy for the sake of time.
All right.
All right, let me get rid of this. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, and I definitely don't think Jackson Dart's going top 10. I've seen people say I don't think he's good enough, man. I could see this.
I don't think he is either, but I think there's some desperate ass teams out there.
Last year's QB class was so much better than this one. I think people are pushing back to that, but this year's class is not a special one. I don't see teams pushing QBs up into that might happen for Shedeur's probably going top 10, but for me, I don't see it. It could happen, but I don't see it. I didn't see Michael Penix going top 10 last year either, though, but I don't see it. I don't like Jackson Dart. That I watched a lot of Ole Miss because I thought they were going to be studs. I really liked because last year they had Quinshon Judkins, right? Quinshon Judkins was a beast, so I thought they were going to be good. They have Princely Umanamielen, Walter Nolan, but Jackson Dart, he just always let me down, man. I tried to root for them, but he was always bad when it mattered most.
All right. Y'all ready to get to another guy? We got 2 more to go. That's it.
Let's do it.
All right. Let me shut up and let you guys go.
There's that guy I was talking about earlier on. Yo, there's nothing wrong with this guy. You know what I'm saying? This guy is elite. Mason Graham is an elite DT. There's really not much that he can't do. Who would I comp him to?
Oof.
Like, I don't know. You got to give me a minute on the comp because I think I don't know.
Definitely some. What was that guy from a couple of years ago? Quinnen Williams, a little bit. Maybe
that's
some
a good
Christian
look.
Wilkins.
That is a good look as far as a comp is concerned. He gets back there. He's a wrecking ball. All sorts of pressure. Again, I think. I won't be surprised if the Bears select him if he falls by any stretch of the imagination. I think he'd be fantastic on this team, with the simple exception that we got 2 guys in front of him in the position already. So if we're talking about an impact starter and you filled all the holes that you needed to fill, I'm not so sure if Mason Graham would be an impact starter on the Chicago Bears.
Ooh.
On every other team in the NFL, though, he definitely would be.
I gotta go with. I think he can play anywhere on the D line. I think he played 3-tech at Michigan because they had Kenneth Grant next to him, who was basically a supersized, a more athletic Andrew Billings. But I think he can easily, I think his wrestling background, he's just so good at leverage and keeping his ground, holding his anchor is so strong. I think he would immediately come in and start, maybe even over Gervon Dexter. He'd be our starting nose day one, but he could probably even play defensive end as well.
See, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just not sure if I want to agree with it because it makes the Gervon Dexter selection moot.
Nah, Dexter's he's gonna
He'll
play.
Rotate in, but
play 60% of the snaps either way. I mean, I think
probably less than that with Grady now too, bro. That's my worry. There's 3 guys. There's 2 guys.
I think, but something that could be better with that, we saw it with Jalen Carter this year. Jalen Carter had a lot better year playing less snaps. And Dexter, I feel like one of the things watching Dexter last year, and you saw it, he had 4 sacks in the first 5 games. I feel like he got tired. He got wore out. Dexter's a guy, he might not, maybe he just needs a couple years to build his stamina up before he can play 60 to 70% of the snaps.
You know what it was?
Might make Dexter better.
You know what it was? Especially when Billings got hurt, he was just getting too much rotation.
Yep. But he can also, Paul Martin just said, he can play defensive end too. He did it last year. He was in on defense, especially on rundowns. He as a bull rusher, he can do it all. He even learned the what's the move called? The cross chop from Yannick Ngakoue, and he was doing that at training camp last year. So hey, he's got some pass rush moves. You never know. I love that. I'm super high on Dexter. I don't think anything we do will really affect him. I think he's future All-Pro. He's going to learn from Gervon Dexter. He would learn even more from Mason Graham, or he's going to learn from Grady Jarrett. Sorry, wrong name.
So here's a special I think you get when you get a Mason Graham. So there's when it comes to 3 techniques and guys that they ask to penetrate and get upfield, you got your bigger guys that's going to win a whole lot with power and surge and things like that. And then you got guys that are if you watch Mason Graham really closely, the special sauce to Mason Graham is watch the burst, watch how fast he gets off the ball, how fast and how sudden it is. That burst, he gets off the ball and in the face of that offensive lineman, really, really fast. He'll win the point of contact more times than not. He's getting his hands on that guy before that guy's getting his hands on him, right? And then watch the hand fight that happens, and it happens in an instant. It's like he'll make contact, and now they're determining, now the rest of the match is happening. And once Mason Graham feels like he won the leverage battle, then you'll see the rip under, you'll see the swim over, or whatever he decides to do. The pin and pull, snatch a guy down on the ground and win and get in the backfield. He's tooled up that way.
Think about that. Now, Samo just said it, and I didn't even, because he measured into the combine, right? He's 6'3", 320 is what he played at in Michigan. And like I said, he could probably play anywhere on the D line. At the combine, he measured in at 6'3", 296, dropped 20 pounds. Now, and then Samo had just said J.J. Watt. That's about the size J.J. Watt played at as well, somewhere around 296. So if that's what he's going to play at the NFL, I could see him also being a guy that can start his career at defensive end. He's killer against the run. We already know that. He'd probably be a better edge setter than most of the defensive ends. And then he can also move inside on rush downs. He's just one of the best players in the draft. To me, he's one of the 4 or 5 blue chip players in this whole draft.
Yeah.
Here's the only drawback I would say with Mason Graham. It's like, if he doesn't win with that immediate, if he doesn't win right away with what I just got through describing, that burst, getting off, winning the leverage battle, and then being able to use the hand fighting techniques to win and get to the play, he'll get completely washed out of that shit at times, man. And I was just like, all right, I'm not gonna act like I didn't see that. And it happened time and time and time and time again. You know, he's got to stay engaged. Like, you can run the ball against Mason Graham. I would just say that. He's not the best run stopper. But pass rusher from an interior defensive tackles, he's one of the best in the draft. Maybe the best. I don't know. You know, depends on who's asking or who's talking about him. But the guy's got some special traits to him. I want to see, you know, I'm not going to layer all the praise on him and not tell you what I saw. He definitely he's going to have to get a little bit more stout against the run for sure.
Well, he definitely gets all the praise from me. I'll give him all of that. I would just be interested in understanding how the Bears would plan to utilize him. Swift, you've given us some good angles on just a rotation case scenario there. That makes sense.
It's something I hadn't even thought about it until Samo mentioned it, because I have thought of him strictly as a DT, but just thinking about it, he's a guy who can play anywhere on that D line. Like, yeah, we could use him anywhere. So you pick him if he falls to 10.
Same with Grady Barrett. Like, you could move Grady out to the edge if you wanted to do that too. There's kind of multiple ways you can mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
I just want to see a lot more to stay in the play, even if you don't win, and get that pass rush off or get to the ball like you want to. Stay in the play, chase that shit down. You know, he does that at times very well, and then other times it's like, all right, man, dude, come on now. You know, but this guy would be put him in the building and he's going to be a stud. You know, I'm just giving fair critique to him. But all right, we got one more guy, I think, before we get to what we need to get to, and that is this fellow right here. I'll shut up once more and let you guys take off on it.
Prototypical edge rusher. I think that he's got everything you really need. He's got the length. He's got the speed. He's got the technique. Great burst, as you're showing right there. Motor for days. I love me some Landon Jackson, and potentially, given all of the edge rushers available out there, you can probably scoop him up in and around the that 41 pick. You can get yourself some Landon Jackson love. At least that's my thinking on the situation. If you can't, I'm very mad. But this kid is fantastic at what he does. Impressive across the board.
Man, it's one of the you pretty much nailed how I've been feeling about him. I think he had a killer Senior Bowl. He looked great. He has the size. Like, he's a guy, you see him and he has the look of an NFL edge defender, and you're like, oh. Now on tape, early on in his career, his pass rush moves were awful. Like he was just out there swinging his arms around, just looking silly, just trying whatever. Just obvious there was no technique, but he's gotten better. He's still a little bit raw. I've seen him as kind of a shoe-in, either him or Princely Uman-Mielen. If we don't go edge rusher in the first round, I see him as a shoe-in for one of those 2 picks in the second round. But I've been putting my big board together and trying to do like 2-round mock drafts. There's so many players between 15 and 50. This is a guy who there's a slight chance he could fall to round 3.
Ooh.
Wow.
Because he's not one of my top guys there. So I do think his range, he's not a guy who's going to go in the first round, I don't think.
I agree.
Some of these guys into a couple like 5 seconds ago. You got me now.
When you're trying to like lock him in, like some of those guys, like he's a guy who's, to me, I have as a second rounder, but he's not one of the second rounder guys like Donovan Jackson or Tyleek Williams who could potentially go late first round. And if that happens, that's going to push guys like Landon Jackson down the board, because someone who everyone has going in the first round, there's going to be 5 or 6 guys that should have went first round that end up falling to second round. And if that happens, a couple of these guys are going to get pushed down the board. And he's one of those guys I could see falling.
Now,
and same with Princely as well. Even though I like him in the second round, hey, if we can get one of those guys in the third, hell yeah.
All right, Ked, you spoke your piece on it. You still got some.
I'm good. Long story short, I would love this guy as a Chicago Bear. Now, I see a certain somebody asked a fantastic question I think we should address.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Mr. Paul Martin, what about Booker's progression?
Let me get this off the screen while you're doing that.
What about Booker's progression? I don't know. I'm not sure what you do here.
I mean, you can never have too many pass rushers. I think too many people think that adding more edge rushers somehow stops Booker from progressing. Like, I mean, he's a guy who I like what I saw from him last year. He has the size and the length. He shows some pass rush upside, but we're a team that wants to compete, right? This is a team that wants to win now. If you're a team that wants to win now, I would be severely disappointed if we went into training camp and Booker was still our DE3. With this draft class coming up, we have to add more talent at pass rusher. I think that's just a fair thing. Booker can still, players get hurt. Players, I mean, we can still get, if Dio doesn't end up being a guy, we can cut him next year. There's pass rushers, you can never have too many. Like, so I don't think that's ever a worry.
I agree, man. And you also need depth at the position, right? So we have right now, we got Montez Sweat on one side, we've got Dio on the other side, and we've got Booker. You layer in one more guy and potentially Daniel Hardy, I think, is still floating around on the squad. Got a little bit of rotational capacity there, and you're going to want that. You're going to want to keep Montez Sweat fresh in some case scenarios. You're going to want to keep Dale fresh. You're also going to want to potentially have some level of a NASCAR package, and I could see that being the NASCAR package. Austin Booker and Landon Jackson, away you go, or Austin Booker and whoever the new edge rusher on the Bears is going to be.
Let me. I can't get out of here without speaking to this clearly. And I know I've said a lot about Landon Jackson this offseason, and I mean every last word that I say. And I'm going to wax a little bit poetic real quick about this. There is dominance, and there is some good upside to any player that you see. I see all of that and some in Landon Jackson. This dude is a freak. 6'7", he shouldn't move as well. And Swift is right. Talking about looking at his, comparing his older tape when he was a little bit younger, he's in a different orbit. Definitely in a different orbit then. And I don't know, something about, I can remember kids, we were speaking about this before. And it's funny because we were talking about alopecia and the alien guy that you were talking about. And I started thinking about him, and we made a short. I made a short talking about, I think I found his there's an anger that this guy plays with, man. There's a serious anger that this guy plays with. And I believe he got picked on because he's an alopecia guy. He can't grow facial hair. He can't.
He can't grow hair on his whole body.
Right. And so, you look like an alien. You're albino looking, and you're a black guy, and you don't look right to a lot of people. And you get, outside of football, people will look at you, stare at you. He's 6'7", 280 pounds. He's an alien to a lot of people. And I would imagine to somebody like him that, everywhere you go, you're going to stand out and people are going to be pointing at you. That's going to give you a little something. And I heard him talk about this I don't know if it was in a combine interview or somewhere. I pulled up an interview in researching this guy, and I found out that definitely, I can look at the facial expression on his face when he started talking about that. He said that he had alopecia, and he started to talk about that. And I can see why, he said that he got bullied, picked on. I could see all of that going on. And that turned this guy into the monster that he is now. I'm telling you, this is a dominant football player. He's going to continue to be dominant just because of the sheer size, force, and power that he plays with. There's nothing he really does that you don't like.
Note to the world, I wasn't making fun of nobody with alopecia. I'm just putting that out there. I was making fun of Josh Dobbs, and I said Josh Dobbs looks like the alien from Mac and Me, the movie. Check it out. Do your own comparison. I've learned not to make fun of people with alopecia after watching what happened to Chris Rock. So
right. You just trying to get that short in. I
ain't trying to get slapped up in there.
He trying to get that short in. I ain't redeeming your ass. No, man.
Hey, man, I'm just saying I don't want Will Smith to come out of nowhere and you know what I mean?
Will Smith gonna pop up on your camera and slap the shit out of you. Keep my wife disease out your
Jackson's name out your mouth. Oh man. Anyways, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all ridiculous, man. I'm trying to be serious. Y'all making me laugh, dude. This I think pound for pound, man. I think pound for pound, he might be the best edge in the draft.
Look, whatever the origin story of this Hulk is, I'm with it. I'm glad that like the brother's 6'7", 280 pounds. Like, ain't nobody making fun of nothing now. Like I'm just letting you know, there ain't nobody got nothing to say about it. Hairy or not, bro, you're doing the darn thing. You're doing it big, and ain't nobody can stop you now. So whatever fuels this guy, I'm happy. Keep making fun of him. You know what I mean? Man, keep making fun of him. Just boil that blood so he can just run down quarterbacks moving forward.
Man, I think you draft this guy, you getting a boss day one.
I think so too.
Man, this dude is. Let me take him down, man, because I'm about to talk a little bit about another guy that's not even on this list, Swift and Kids. One of those other guys that's on this that I just really, really fell in love with, and just watching that engine and that tenacity he plays with. Another guy is Ashton Jaloti out of Louisville. I don't know if you checked him out. Swift. Yeah. Holy shit.
Man, he's so underrated, but he's so good on tape. He has all the tools. Like, I have a hard time placing him. When I initially did my top 15 edge rushers, he wasn't in there. And somebody was like, how do you not have Ashton Gillette in there? So then I had to go pull up his tape, and I was like, damn. I was like, I already had like 8 guys that I had excluded off my top 15. So I'd watched like 30 edge rushers, and I was like, damn, this guy is a beast too. Like, there's just this class is so good. I don't think his measurables are quite there. I don't remember off the top of my head, but might be missing a little something there. But he's a day 2 pick.
Hey, Swift, I kept thinking about when I was watching this tape at first. Now, he's another guy I've been watching for the last couple of years. I kept thinking about Flus's comment saying that, I'm talking about edge rushers and defensive linemen. I'm looking for motor and mean. That's all I kept thinking about when I'm watching Ashton Jaloti. That's all you see is motor and meanness. This guy is fucking relentless. And I mean, he's like a bigger Austin Booker. You know how relentless Austin Booker plays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ooh, good Lord, that dude's a problem. I'm telling you straight up.
I mean, he hit like 20 miles per hour on the GPS. He's on Bruce Feldman's freaks list, and he produced as a pass rusher. He's a guy who, I mean, he played for Louisville. He's not a huge team, but he had over 20 some sacks in his career. So,
man, dude, do y'all want to fiddle around with a mock draft or just see what it looks like and not draft? What do y'all want to mess with that, or y'all want to call it a night?
Let's go ahead and call it.
All right. Yeah, all right. That's probably the best thing to do right now. We had a good full 2.5 going on 3 hours worth of content, and it was fun, man. I enjoyed that. Those were literally a lot of the pieces that I think that will end up being. I think might be a couple of those guys that could be a bear, man. You guys I'll pass it on to you guys for some pleasantries before we get up out of here. Tell her how you saw it.
Hey, man, always good to be on here. Hey, glad you guys had me. Got to have you on my show once. Let me know when you guys can come on. But I think it's an exciting draft. We're going to get 3 impact players at least. And it's an exciting time to be a Bears fan. No giant holes on the roster. And instead of arguing about the players, I love talks like this. There's so many different avenues we can go this year. It's exciting, man.
Yes, it was.
I want to do some crazy here. Just give me a second, folks. Bear with me. Nope. Yeah. All right.
He said nope. Yeah.
Yeah. There it is.
Like somebody below the screen or something, man.
I wish, but boom, there. I just wanted to put it out.
No, man.
You just hit off the screen, man.
No.
All right, so all right, I had to do it. Tell me I'm crazy. Anyways, I'll give you. That's the astronaut quarterback right there.
Man.
I'm putting it out, kids. I'm telling you right now.
Will Smith's coming to slap you in the moment.
I'll look over my shoulder just in case. All right, y'all, man. I give you guys a little bit of love. Thanks for coming through in big capacity on an impromptu community do it up with the homie Swifty and Nomad as per normal. Give you guys a little bit of love. Illinois Jones, thanks for coming through. Oh, by the way, check me out on @Heads of Canuck, the channel here on YouTube. A couple of you guys are watching from that side of the world. I appreciate it. Give me some love. Give me some subscriptions. The more we get, the more content I'll pump out. Again, shout out to Illy. Shout out to How We Are Bears. Ken Kong, big love to you. Please give us a subscription on either and or both of these channels, as well as the Swift Sports Network. Big Al, same general disclaimer to you, sir. Thanks for coming through. Samo, my guy, my brother, big love to you, man. The Scrolls, always keeping it hilarious in the chat, man. Never fails. Who else we got out there? Bear Truth 9, BT9, good to see you, my dude. Create Culture, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for coming through. Ed Breeze, same to you, man. By all means, check me out at Heads of Canuck and give these guys a little bit of love too. Like, share, subscribe across the board. Rap was out there with us doing the darn thing in the chat. Paul Martin, a lot of engagement for Paul Martin today. Same thing for Laz. Who else we got out there? Derek Guy was with us tonight. Thanks for coming through, Derek. Brad Williamson, shout out to you, sir. Thanks for coming through. Victor Perez, Super No Maniac. Vic, what it do, man? We tried to run a mock with you this weekend on Sunday. Hopefully you're down this Sunday. We'll do the mock with you this time around. One more again. Shout out to Super No Maniac Joseph Archer and the Super No Maniac minister himself, Charles Johnson, keeping it active in the chat. Jason Toy, what it do, Jason? Thanks for coming through. Please like, share, subscribe. Give us a little bit of love. Wipe your feet on the way out the door. Who else we got out there? Who am I missing? Ken Khan. No, I said Ken Khan. The hairiest bear Gooch. What it do, sir? Props to you. Oh, Marlon Johnson. Super No Maniac Marlon Johnson. Shout out to you as well. Definitely said How We Are Bears for sure. Who am I missing? Oh, Sophisticated Thoughts was doing the darn thing in the chat. Dr. Earl was with us. Shout out to the doctor, man. The good doctor's a good man. Big love to you, sir. Flex Diggs jumped in, kept it real with us. Cornelius Squalls was with us. Number 2, no maniac, Cornelius Squalls. The Crooked Commish was with us. Dobbsy34, Russell Webster. Shout outs to all you guys. Oh, Jay Capone Don was down, as well as Sophisticated Thoughts. Brandon J. Bias. And I think that just about rounds it out, man. Shout outs to all you guys. Thanks for coming through and spending a little bit of time with us. Check us out tomorrow night at 8 Central, 9 Eastern for some extra sauce. Oh, B. Shep, F. Florida Bears, what it do? Paul Rodriguez, what it do? I think we're good now.
All right. Well, man, listen, I appreciate everybody for being here on the first ever community chatter. It was designed around generating the conversations that people have around the Bears community. And I think we did our job there, man. I think we covered everything that I think most Bears fans are talking about. We got interactive. We engaged with everybody. We answered questions. We did everything we're supposed to do as podcasters. And number one, let me thank Swift for coming here. I want to say this to you, Swift, and I want you to understand what I'm saying to you. You made a friend a long time ago, but you definitely made more of a friend. And I'm the loyal type guy. You know what I mean? I'm the type of person that I see when somebody's being intentional about what they want to do with you and for you. There's no secret. You're the Pied Piper of the Bears fan base when it comes to, getting engagement. There's no secret to it. And the fact that you want to lend that to us, I would just tip my hat and salute you, man. And I appreciate you. You'll never get an enemy of me, man. You never will. So you got a friend out here for sure. And I think I speak for kids and everybody at the Nomad Network, dog. We definitely appreciate you 110%.
Don't make me get emotional up here.
It ain't emotional. It's just this is just me.
No, I love it, man. And hey, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I'm just a Bears fan, and I love talking football and chopping it up and having respectful Bears conversations. And apologize for being late. We had a little miscommunication. Nomad had said to me, I'll send you the link for Wednesday's show. So I was sitting here, I was not ready at all. And then he was like, I saw my phone, I saw the text like 10 minutes late, and I was like, oh.
Hey, that happens in this shit, man. That thing happens, man. So my apologies for that, man. Yeah, man, but I definitely appreciate you for being here. I do think people appreciate all of us having. I think this was a very thorough. If I ever seen a podcast be thorough about all the things that people are talking about and being thorough about the prospects and all that stuff combined, I don't know that I've seen a podcast lately be as thorough as this one was. And I'm gonna watch.
I mean, you can tell when talking to you, man. As always, man. You guys watch tape, and I love watching. There's so, like you said it earlier, like there's so much tape on all these prospects. Like I watched college football all year, and I've been watching tape for the last 3 months, like every day, and I still haven't watched all the tape on all these prospects. So like, there's always other perspectives and other things, and other things you can learn about other prospects. So it's always fun to talk draft when people watch tape. Like, and even when you're watching tape, like people will see things you don't see, or you could see it differently. Like, it's boring. Tape can be boring watching sometimes, man, when there's no sound. Like, you got to have some music on. You sitting there watching tape. Like, so, I mean, it's just fun chopping up with you guys. And it's a fun time for Bears fans. And that's the reason I started my channel a few years back, was I was really happy with Ryan Poles, and I thought it was going to be a hard time for Bears fans, but I thought good times were coming ahead, and I think we're almost to those times now. And I know it's been a long time coming, even way before Ryan Poles. And I just one of the reasons I have the Ryan Poles logo, I know people take the crown too seriously. I always get people put the logo. I'm like, it's just a fucking joke, man. I mean, the crown's just a joke, but like,
don't change a goddamn thing, Swifty.
But I do think he deserves credit, and he's doing the process the right way. We're building this team the right way, and I'm excited to be a Bears fan. And 5 years ago, I wasn't. I was down. I mean, all these years of losing. I remember back when we went to the Super Bowl when I was younger, man. I mean, we went to the Super Bowl in 2006, and I thought I thought we were going to have a bunch more coming after that because that Super Bowl broke my heart. And these last 20 years have been tough, but I think we have some great times coming ahead. I think this team's going to win. I'm knocking on wood. I'm not trying to jinx anything, but I think we have some good teams coming up. We're not going to be the same old Bears anymore, which is it's good to know.
So if I got a real quick challenge for you, because I don't know what you've seen on Will Campbell, but I watched probably about 5-6 games, condensed film, offensive reps. I haven't seen Tennessee or South Carolina. I don't know if you've seen that film. Have you seen either one of those with Will Campbell?
I've watched all his film.
So you've seen Kennard and Pierce against him.
Yeah.
What you come away with real quick?
I mean, I think he's good enough to play tackle in the NFL. I just don't think teams will view him as a tackle. His arms are too short. He doesn't have broad shoulders. He has the footwork. His tape shows a guy who can play tackle. If you're just looking at his tape, I see a left tackle. But to me, there's only going to be a few teams. Most teams, they just have strict limitations on those things. And Ben Johnson even said that was one of the first things they got together and did, was they drew up prototypes at each position. These are the sizes we want for these positions. Now, sometimes you'll be a little bit flexible, but tackle is one of those positions where most guys, most GMs want 34 plus inch arms. So, but 33 is the bare minimum. That the fact that he's over half inch shorter than the bare minimum is most teams are just going to immediately move him to guard. Now, the one team that has 2 tackles with short arms is the Colts. So the Colts are one team out there that are like, hey, it's not a big deal to us. Now, Ryan Poles does not seem like that guy. Ryan Poles loves long arms. So to me, it's like, unless Ben Johnson was like, I don't care about those long arms, that's my left tackle, then I don't see him being a Bear. I just don't see it.
Looking at the film, Swift, I ain't going to kid you. It's not Peter Storonsky at Northwestern. It's not, the other guy, the redhead kid that was coming out of North Dakota State a couple years ago. It's not either one of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's playing at LSU, the creme de la creme. I do think that, his play is going to overwhelm, and I don't think he's getting past 5. I really don't. And if he lands at the Bears are going to run to the goddamn.
Oh, I don't see it.
I'm telling you, man. I'm gonna check out the I'm gonna check out the South Carolina film and Tennessee film. I haven't seen either one of them, and I need to. But that's my estimation of, I think he's a true. But that we can do this on another podcast with. Come on back. I'm more than happy to come talk about some football on your channel. I'm sure Kids is too. But I want to say this before we get out of here. And I want to appreciate my guy, Samo, man, my brother Samo, for coming in here. And, there's probably some air between us, whatever it is. And if I'm wrong about it, I'm willing to fall on the sword and apologize for whatever I did. If I did anything, I will do that. But I just wanted to say thank you for coming in here, Samo. It was big of you, man. And I appreciate having your energy in here and your experience and what you can bring to the table, Samo. I just appreciate you, dog. And I want to leave you guys with these famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, and I repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. But with that being said, we are